Yates coming up at noon. Our NFL insider from ESPN. We will hang out with Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 sports director. Learn funniest best. And we will get to the bottom of whether or not the Chiefs game will be on local TV or not. So,
do you want me to text him? I'll text Mick.
I tweeted him and I emailed him last night. And then I sent him a friend request and a message on Friendster.
Hey, Siri, text Mick Schaefer from every iPhone listening to this.
That also has Mick Schaefer's contact information.
I'll give everyone Mick Schaefer's personal phone number.
He doesn't care.
He will not care.
Give him his home phone number.
He can have that. They can have that too. I'll give him the phone numbers of all of his close family and friends.
Uh-huh.
Someone will get to the bottom of if that game will be on NBC or not.
Yeah, we'll find out. I don't know. And we'll have to wait till 1 o'clock to really get an answer to this one.
Cliffhanger.
Yes, but it's on Peacock for the national audience. It'll be on 41 KSHB for the local audience. So Mick Schaefer, we'll talk with him coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best coming our way as well. Tonight, don't forget 6 o'clock, the national championship pregame starting right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michigan and Washington. I'm really interested to see what the betting line does today because it's been at 4.5 for about a week now. I mean, that thing has just been steady at 4.5. The total has sort of gone up a half point here or there, but that thing has been pretty steady. Chiefs and Dolphins, by the way. Did you see what the line did yesterday when it was first released? I know you were on the air.
I was. I saw someone post.
Last night you weren't on the air, I guess, after the game was over.
Yeah, it's true. I was loosely paying attention. I saw someone. I thought I saw 1.5 somewhere at one point, and then never saw anything close to that again.
So it initially jumped out at 1.5, and the total at 47.5. Then about 2 minutes later, when I finally logged on, it was already at 3, still at 47.5. I tweeted it out. About a minute later, it dropped to 46. The line is now Chiefs minus 3.5, and the total is 42.5.
That's so annoying.
It's dropped 5 points, and I'm glad I got it at Chiefs minus 3 and under 47.5.
Yep, that feels like great value.
The fact that the Chiefs' offense has been struggling, and it's going to be 0 degrees on Saturday night. The Dolphins coming off that game where they're as banged up as they are, even if Jalen Waddle plays, like typically joints and ligaments don't do well in the freezing temperature. You know, you got to keep those things warm throughout the game. I couldn't believe it opened up at 47.5. Also was not surprised that it got bet down that fast. It's funny when I tweeted it out, everybody was like sprinting to bet the under. And I think a lot of people did because that thing just shrank. It sank very, very fast, like an anchor. So it's gone down 5 points. We'll see where that thing ends up. But Chiefs-Dolphins coming up Saturday night, 7:15 on Peacock and KSHB 41.
That's the second most prominent case of an aquatic mammal shrinkage of the weekend. That joke is really funny depending on how online you are, and not funny if you're not online, and that's okay.
They might have been thinking of dolphins.
There was, an aquatic mammal.
There's exactly right.
And shrinkage.
It was cold! All right, 913-381-810 is the phone number. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday. And there are a lot of storylines in the playoffs that we will certainly get to and talk about. There are some fun storylines in the playoffs. Tyreek Hill finally returns to Kansas City is one of those. So the Chiefs got to play Tyreek Hill in Germany and in Kansas City. So that is certainly a lot of fun. And they will not play Tyreek Hill next year because of the Miami Dolphins losing. They will play the Buffalo Bills yet again next year with their opponents, home and away, released based on finishes in the standings and everything as of yesterday. So if you're wondering, home games for the Chiefs next year: Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Ravens, Bengals, Saints, Bucks, and Texans. Away games: Falcons, Panthers, Browns, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Bills, 49ers, and Steelers. They play the AFC North, and they play the NFC South next year. They will play the Buffalo Bills by virtue of them finishing first. They will play the Houston Texans by virtue of them finishing first. And they will play the 49ers in the NFC West by virtue of them finishing first in that division. So that is those are the home and away things like that after it's already been established. So Chiefs win the game. I don't really have a reaction from them winning at all. My reaction to that game is, cool, nice, good for Blaine Gabbert. I bet he feels good about it. The players out there playing, backups that were getting opportunities to play, especially late in the game, had a real preseason feel to it. If you had over 10.5, you were very much invested and interested in whether or not the Chiefs. I thought the over/under was 11.5.
I thought that's where it mostly was.
A bunch of people tweeting out 10.5.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, good for you. I wouldn't have. I would have taken better value on the. I would have moved it up to 11. I moved it up to over 12.5. So
I think
I've been out for a while.
Yeah, same.
So
Same.
So I've been toast for a little bit. So Vegas gets them right all the time. 10.5, and they got 11. And what are the odds?
A game with Blaine Gabbert should count as half a win. Like that, they nailed it.
Mm-hmm. My takeaway from yesterday is the fact that they're playing the Dolphins now instead of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would have loved to see the Miami Dolphins score and that thing go to overtime to see how they both would have played that.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
If Miami would have just played for a tie and ended up, playing the Steelers, right? And Buffalo would be heading to Kansas City. Or if Miami would have tried to win, then they get Buffalo again. Mm-hmm. And the Chiefs would have got the Steelers. Like, do they play? That would have been really interesting to see what Mike McDaniel would have done. If I was him, I would have played for a tie. But that's just me.
He seems like he also might be the head coach. He'd be like, yeah, no, we're gonna play for the tie here. We want to play at home, and we'll get the Steelers.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Not going to play Buffalo for the third time this year.
It seems like he might be the one coach. He's like, I just want to play. We played them this week. I don't want to play them again next week.
I just threw a lot at them. We had so many misdirections. We were so many going to his left and then pitching back to his right, going to his right and then pitching back to his left. That was like their main running. We've already showed that.
Or going to his left and throwing to a defender. Like lots of fun little misdirection.
Josh Allen doing his Brett Favre thing, doing his I'm gonna
not that Brett Favre thing. And also not that Brett Favre thing.
Legal Brett Favre thing.
The other Brett Favre thing.
That's right. The on the field Brett Favre thing. Throwing it to the other team sometimes and also going and winning games. And doing some of the things that he does, the highs and lows, the roller coaster that is Josh Allen. The Josh Allen that could carry this team through the playoffs, the Josh Allen that could have such a bad game they lose to the Steelers on, that's Sunday, right, that they play?
I think so, Sunday afternoon, I believe.
Yeah. I know when the Chiefs play. That's the main thing. Yes, I think they play at noon.
The Eagles got Monday night.
Yeah, and it's a nooner. It's Cleveland and Houston is the first game, right? Before the Chiefs.
Yes, Cleveland, Houston, Saturday at 3:30. Yep. Dolphins, Chiefs at Peacock. Not yet sure if it's going to be on 41 or not. I'll ask Mick. It will be on 41, everybody. That's a PSA. But if you have a chance to ask Mick about it, annoy him. Please do.
Tweet him.
And then Steelers, Bills at noon. Packers, Cowboys at 3:30. Rams, Lions at 7. That's the Sunday slate. Eagles, Bucks on Monday night.
Let's talk about the main takeaway from the game yesterday. Let's hear from Chris Jones in the locker room. This is courtesy Jesse Newell, Sam McDowell, the Kansas City Star covering the team and putting this audio out there, so we appreciate them. Here's Chris Jones in the locker room talking about getting that sack in the third quarter, thankfully, and finally getting off the field. Here's that conversation.
What was the conversation like during the week? Did you have to do any convincing to play?
I was only supposed to play for one quarter. I can't. One quarter turned to 2 quarters, 2 quarters turned to please come, let me get one more drive. You know what I mean? So thankful to Coach Reed that he allowed me to play because this was more so about bye week. And I didn't have to play, but the team allowed me to play, so I'm super grateful for that.
Here's Chris Jones after the game is over on the field via CBS being interviewed. I don't know who he exchanged his jersey with, but it was pretty immediate when he took his jersey off and exchanged with somebody. So he's standing there just in his shoulder pads. It would have been funny if who he exchanged his jersey with, he would have put that on.
Would have been good, actually.
Been wearing a Charger jersey, but maybe he will be next year. Who knows?
Oh, hey, stop it.
Here's if the Katz brothers have any to say about it. They're going to get the most possible money for that guy. Here is Chris Jones talking about getting that sack, what it meant, and having some honesty about what yesterday was.
Okay, Chris Jones, tell us, how does it feel to be $1 million richer?
Oh, it feels amazing, right? I lost so much money holding out. So I'm just making money back that I lost, honestly. So it feels good.
All right, but I'll tell you the truth. When I was walking into halftime with head coach Andy Reid, he didn't seem like he was ready to throw you back out there to get that last half sack. What was the negotiation to let him let you play?
The last drive, he gave me the finger as in, this is the last drive. I had to beg him coming off of this because the play before that, we got the TFL, and I'm looking at him hollering, one more drive, coach, one more. He gave me the finger, one more, and I'm like, I'm praying to God. While I'm walking out, I'm like, God, please let me get it. This is the last one, and God is good.
You should have offered Easton Stick a little bit of money.
Oh, man, he just went down, right? And, I got to send him flowers or something, man. Such a good sport.
All right, Chris, very seriously, though, as this team heads into the playoffs right now, what's the most important thing in getting hot, in feeling like, okay, we're ready for a run?
I think defense, we got to continue to hone in on what we've been doing a good job at. We've been minimizing big plays, creating turnovers, and we finally got a score in the end zone, man. We've been harping on that all year. Get a score, finally scored. Just continue to hone in. The offense will get going. We know what type of atmosphere Kansas City bring in the playoff, and we're excited for it.
Chris, last one. Miami or Pittsburgh? Who'd you rather have?
Either or. Pittsburgh, though. I see Miami Nets, so I love to go to Miami Nets, right?
Sorry, Chris.
Unfortunate.
It is. I would have been perfectly fine with that as well. Taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers this Saturday night, and then heading to Miami, assuming Miami would have won against Buffalo, or playing a home game against the winner of Houston and Cleveland. If Buffalo were to go to Miami and win that game, then they would be heading to Baltimore, which the Chiefs would not have had to go through Miami, Buffalo, and Baltimore more than likely to get to the Super Bowl, but that is what their path is. That's reality. Last year, their path was they didn't have to face both Buffalo and Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Buffalo and Cincinnati matched up against each other. The winner of that one had to face both. Both those teams went in saying, we got to face the other one of us and then the Chiefs on the road. That's the path to be able to get to the Super Bowl, or Buffalo in Atlanta, wherever. This year, that's the Chiefs' lot. They go in going Miami, Buffalo, Baltimore. And they're going to have to go on the road the last two if seeds hold to form, and take care of Miami at home. But I'm glad Chris Jones was candid there when he said, in all honesty, I'm just earning money back that I lost by holding out. He's made $86 million in his career, has Chris Jones. And I'm trying to figure out where my feelings are on this whole thing. I didn't want him to play to begin with. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe the Chiefs would just write a check and say, get your rest, Chris. Here's your money.
Real quick thing, I know it's an early interruption, but Matt made this point last night. Because of the weird structure that literally no one's seen before of the incentives of this deal, we're not sure if those could have been converted as easily as some others. Okay. That's something I did not think about until Matt mentioned it in postgame. Well, everything else is still going to apply, but that is one thing I don't know, because it was a not likely to be earned incentive that happened after the season started. That all still goes back to agent malpractice, in my opinion, but one little wrinkle on it.
I guess looking back, thinking it was likely to be earned because he had already got to 10 sacks a year ago.
Right.
So that being a likely to be earned, but I guess during the season.
Because the formatting of all of it was weird. They still might have been able to, and I still think this part's interesting.
Right. And I don't know if maybe they could have just a stroke of a pen said, let's amend this contract real quick. We don't have to add any years or anything. We don't have to extend the contract. We're just amending it, kind of like what they did with Travis Kelce, just to give him more money up front.
Yes.
I don't know if you can do that going into week 18 or not, but here's a quick little stroke of the pen, and we're going to take that incentive out, and you're just going to get $1.5 million. Yep. If they had that option and they didn't, I think that certainly says something about the way the Chiefs and the front office and ownership may have viewed this, as in no. And this is what we talked about on Friday. If they had the ability to do that, and the front office was like, yeah, we're not doing that. If he wanted that incentive, he could have played week 1.
Yes.
He lost the money for a reason. Those incentives are thrown in there for him to earn back what he lost. He sat out. This team is locked into the 3 seed. Had he played week 1, and I know Kadarius Toney had his rough game, but Chris Jones could have made a difference on the 21 points that the Lions scored, or getting a stop earlier in a drive that set up a shorter possession for the Chiefs somewhere along the line if he had played in that game. Maybe they win. And maybe they're the 2 seed yesterday just by going out and beating the backup Chargers by guys playing, and maybe playing a half into the third quarter, and the Chiefs are the 2 seed, and we're talking about them hosting what would be the Pittsburgh Steelers right now by virtue of other things that would have happened regardless. So they, I don't even know what the playoffs would look like if they were the two. But if there was the opportunity to pay him and they just didn't, I think that certainly says something.
I do too.
It also says something that Andy Reid, when, on Wednesday said it would be a one-way conversation with Travis Kelce. And we'll hear Andy Reid weigh in on Travis Kelce. It didn't seem like it was a one-way conversation. And Chris Jones asking to stay in. Andy Reid saying, we'll give you a quarter. A whole quarter. And we'll give Audrey a quarter too.
I get it.
He played to the third quarter. Andy Reid continued to flip him off, according to Chris Jones. That's what he said, right? Andy Reid gave him the finger. I said, can I go back out there? He gave me the finger, which was Andy Reid's way of saying no, and then he ran out there anyway, just to be a captain. So he plays into the third quarter. And wrestling with my feelings on this, it's a business. I understand it's a business. Everybody in that building understands it's a business. Andy Reid, maybe that's why he's such a great players coach, is because he allows these things to happen. But from my standpoint, Travis Kelce's 16 yards was much more impactful to me than Chris Jones' 1 sack. The historical effect and reference point perspective for Travis Kelce to have his 1,000-yard season consecutive streak extended to 8 straight, to me is more impactful than Chris Jones getting a sack and getting $1.5 million. They're both personal. One has a bigger meaning. And what I cannot really be comfortable with is the fact when he needed a sack, Chris Jones, he had the most pressures in the first half of the game than he had had since 2018 in any game total. He did that in the first half. He had the highest pressure rate of pressures per passing snaps, tied for the most of any pass rusher this year. Any pass rusher this year, and he did that when he needed that sack. Now, maybe he was just sack hunting, and I'm just going to go for the sack, and it doesn't matter anything else, and I'm just going to put pressure on the quarterback. And maybe Steve Spagnuolo just went out there and said, we're calling plays and doing different things and stunts and games and twists just so Chris Jones can get a sack, and that's the thing we're worried about. But man, when 1 sack and $1.5 million was on the line, that guy played his mother bleeping ass off. He was dominant. Chris Jones, the best, tied or not, the best pass rushing day in pressures of any player in the league this year. That is hard to be comfortable with. Sorry. It's hard to sit back and just go, oh, yeah, he got $1.5 million. So he really went out there and worked his tail off to get that sack. Every passing snap was like the last one. What about against the Bills? What about against can't say the Raiders because they weren't passing it anyway. What about against the Eagles? Et cetera, throughout the year. There may be circumstances to this that are completely, totally explainable, but it's difficult to see Travis Kelce go, no, I'm good. Maybe if Travis Kelce had a $1.5 million on the line to get 16 more yards, maybe he would do that. I don't know. But I find the historical precedence of having 8 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards or more a bigger deal than getting the $1.5 million for somebody who's made $86 million in his career and could have got that by just not sitting out.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I want to fully bundle, to use the State Farm language, the Jones and Kelce sides of it, because I do think you can evaluate each of them in a vacuum.
Agreed.
The Jones thing is interesting because what you're thinking and feeling about it, I don't think we talked about for a breath on postgame, and not something that had bothered me at all.
I get it.
Because I think There are several factors that do kind of explain that out to me to a level where it's like it's not one of the first several things that I'm thinking about. One is that he was there to get sacks, specifically to get a sack, even to get half a sack. That was the entire purpose of him being out there. I think when people talk about Chris Jones freelancing, what you think you see him do is what you saw him doing yesterday, where it is literally, bleep this defense, I'm here to get a sack. And while being that dominant, it was against a Chargers offensive line that was banged up and continued to get more hurt while Jones was still in there. Yeah. And it's Easton Stick. He was getting rid of the ball pretty quickly for the most part, I think. He was getting pressured and then getting rid of it before Jones could actually get him. Also, great point from Matt last night. If Easton Stick Brett Favre's it, his day gets easier. The Chargers might win the game if Easton Stick takes a sack in the first quarter to Chris Jones and then 95's out of there for the rest of the game.
That's why I don't think Chris Jones should send him flowers. Easton Stick should have done that in the first quarter.
100%. Save you both the trouble.
Yeah.
Self-preservation. It would have made sense. But in a game where they isolated at least one or two shots where they showed this on the broadcast that was interesting. Of like, yeah, look, they're doing the one-on-one matchup hunting for Chris Jones that they do in big moments in other games. They're just doing it all day long. So none of that like the effort of it all. Also surrounded by backups who are, out there just being guys holding space. Not with Karlaftis and Dana, many who was out there for plenty of the game. But I don't know. That just didn't bother me. It certainly didn't bother me as much as the Katz brothers.
We'll take a timeout. We'll talk about that. We'll have a little fun with what took place online yesterday. Katz brothers taking a victory lap.
You've earned it.
On Chris Jones getting exactly what he would have got if he would have just showed up and played week number 1. Yeah, take that. That's advanced calculus. Chess, not checkers. Thank you. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Field Yates will join us at noon. We will take your phone calls, 913-381-810. More Zone right after this on this Monday edition, Victory Monday, heading into the playoffs as Chiefs and Dolphins getting set for Saturday. Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Field Yates coming up at noon. We'll get to phone calls and a few texts coming in here. A lot of texts, actually. But text says, you're a jerk, Josh.
I know.
I carry 2 iPhones, and both went off when you did that. When you said contact Mick Schaefer.
Sorry.
Said Siri, call Mick Schaefer or text Mick Schaefer about whether or not the game's going to be on Channel 41. Text says, it was reported Spags was dialing up plays just for Chris Jones. Not really a fair statement. No, that's what I said. Look, I mean, there's a lot of things that were taking place in that, but there are different circumstances that go along with that. And Josh also mentioned that as well. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm on the air wrestling with my emotions on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. This text comes in and says, regarding Chris Jones, did the sack bonus exist in week 1? Was it created after? If after, then I felt he deserved the chance to earn it within the remaining 16 games since he was only a half sack away. He had 10 sack bonus. It wasn't 1.5, it was 1.25 if he got to 10 sacks before the season started. They increased it, then added other things to try to get him to like a first-team All-Pro and making the Super Bowl. He gets $1 million. He's not going to be Defensive Player of the Year and win the Super Bowl. Both. That would have been another $1 million. So he can still make $1 million more in incentives, but he had a $1.25 million sack incentive to get to 10 when the season started. But did make an extra $250,000. With that, text says, let's see, it seems like apples and oranges in the Jones and Kelsey conversation. In 15 years, the yards won't pay dividends like the $1.5 million will. Kelsey didn't need the years to cement Hall of Fame case. Jones needed the stats to cement generational wealth for his family. I would say $90 million already is generational wealth. I know that if you've made 90, making 91.5 is certainly fine. If you need one more sack, yes, I get it. I understand that. If I make 100,000, then making 10 more thousand seems awesome. But somebody that made 20,000 is like, dude, you need the extra 10,000. Yeah, I do actually. So I totally get that. Totally understand.
I agree that it's apples and oranges, but I do think there are some similarities. And well, Chris Jones didn't need that $1 million, like Travis Kelsey didn't need those 16 yards. Like you could arrive at similar places on those if you did want to compare fruits.
Tex says incentives matter. It's a lot of money, regardless of how much he has made. $1,000, just a round number that your mind is attributing value to. Hall of Fame cases and things like that. And then Tex says maybe incentivize every contract.
Honestly,
incentivize every sack.
Give
I don't
him
think they
$1
would,
million for every half sack for a lifetime. That will be a good investment forever. If he has 20 sacks next year, do you pay him $40 million? Yeah, fine, absolutely. When he has 6 in a few years, you're paying him 12. Great. When he has 3, you're paying him 6. This is all good. $1 million a sack. I'm in.
913-381-0810. Jay leads us off here on Sports Radio 810. Jay, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Are you saying Jay or Jerry?
Saying you.
I'm saying you. Go ahead, Jerry. Knock him dead.
At one time, I was a faux associate producer. Dang it. No. What I did, I noticed this game. I hope you guys are having a great day. It was a fun game to listen to. I was running back and forth from the radio to the TV, and Jimmy Johnson was right. There's a lot of distractions on that team. I was distracted by watching for Travis Kelsey and Mahomes on the sideline to see how much fun they were having. I was distracted for 3 quarters hoping for Chris Jones to get a sack. And, Jimmy Johnson's right. I hate to admit it, but
so many distractions.
Another thing, my best friend growing up, I'm 57, so my childhood best friend is like a head high school coach in Durkin High School in Sacramento. He's a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan. We used to play Cowboys and Indians together. What is the likelihood that the Cowboys and the Chiefs could be in the Super Bowl? That would be so awesome to me. You guys cover all the stats perfect. I can't add anything to that. I just hope I made you smile.
Jerry, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Yes, a lot of distractions on the sidelines with guys jumping around and stuff. And by the way, you saw what it meant to the rest of the guys on the team.
Yes,
so
that's a huge part of it for me as well.
There's that aspect of it. And my nephew said that he had heard that Chris Jones was also giving bonuses to everybody else on the defensive line if he got the $1.5 million. Because that was also part of, like you said, it was sort of a collective thing.
Well, I guess he said that he would get the rest of them gifts if he got his bonus. I guess he said that around Christmas, didn't he? When somebody asked about that, I forgot about that.
So maybe that's also part of it, that he wanted to be out there. It's like,
something.
no, I really want to get this for them, Coach. It's for everybody else. So the Katz brothers took a victory lap yesterday, Josh.
Yeah, deservedly so.
Absolutely. So you were on the air. You were doing the post-game show.
Yeah.
And Chris Jones got that sack, and people were happy. I was ecstatic for him, by the way.
Me too.
I'm not mad that he got the sack at all. I was ecstatic for him because I wanted him out of the game.
That as well.
The main thing. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. If guys make a lot of money while winning games for the Chiefs, awesome. Good for you. It's America. Do what you got to do. If they get injured trying to get an extra $1 million when they made 20 this year, yeah, I'm pretty annoyed.
Feels bad. Would feel bad for sure.
Pretty. So I wanted him to get a sack on the first drive and get out of there and wave to everybody, and then not play until the third quarter when there's a game coming up on Saturday. Anyway, the Katz brothers were very excited that he got that sack.
Well, and as you said, I do think it absolutely says something about Chris Jones and his relationship with this team that he got that sack and the sideline erupted. Isaiah Pacheco is making it rain, despite the fact that he will not make $1.25 million any single year of his rookie contract. He will not cross that barrier any time in his first 4 seasons.
That's amazing.
And that's genuine excitement for your brother there, right?
Yeah,
like I
absolutely.
think that says something. It was a wild scene. It was a fun scene, and I'm glad Chris Jones got his money. He has had a season deserving of that. I think the Clark Hunt thing you mentioned is interesting. But there's complexity in all of that. Mm-hmm. There are layers to all of that. So why don't we go ahead and take a nice, clean shot at a sitting duck? When Michael Katz decided last night, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remind everybody why my only relevant client in Christopher Jones is playing a meaningless game in Week 18 while the other superstars on this team are on the sideline. I'm going to real quick make this about me. So at 5:30 Central Time yesterday, Michael J. Katz at NFL Agent Katz tweets out $1,250,000. Let's go at Stone Cold Jones, 10.5 sacks. He tweets that out. Nobody touches the tweet because nobody follows Michael Katz. It gets to me, and I decide, you know what, I think people should see this because I saw it and I think it's important. So I quote tweet it with George Bush standing in front of the mission accomplished sign behind him.
Mm-hmm. Perfectly connected.
Felt great out of the hand. Appreciate the appreciation for that.
Yep.
And Chiefs fans begin to see the tweet. And as time clicks through, I'm claiming first blood on this one. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. This is a tweet I'll print out and I'll hang on my wall like a pelt because Chiefs fans find it. And Chiefs fans, honestly, the first time I can remember now, either of the Katz brothers actually having to confront the fact that people understand what they did this offseason, Chiefs fans after Chiefs fans and media members after media members going some variation of, that's curious that you would want to remind everybody that your superstar's playing in a game that he would not have to play in it if he would have been playing in Week 1, or God forbid if he had a long-term contract extension finished before this season ever even began. One the Chiefs wanted, one Chris Jones wanted, but no, you were going to get $30 million, so you held out and you held out and you missed a game and you missed a game check and you sign a reworked little one-year deal that puts some incentives, most of which he never even sniffed. But right here, he gets $1.25 million to cover up that game check he missed in Week 1, just barely inching his way back across, breaking even because of you, and you rip that out there. Meanwhile, Chris Jones, on and off the field here, financially and vibes-wise, no one has damaged his legacy more than the Katz brothers, because you unfortunately have Chiefs fans who have vitriol towards Chris Jones because he didn't play in Week 1. I understand that. Watching from the booth with your agents bookending you is a horrible, horrible look. I wonder whose idea that was. Going through this process, what's the one national ad you've seen from Chris Jones?
Oh, it's DirecTV.
Who do you think his agent was on that? Because I'm going to give agent credit to Travis Kelce.
I was going to say Travis Kelce.
For being the star in that commercial and bringing Chris Jones in. I'm guessing, but I've got a pretty good guess.
Didn't Travis say at one point, I got to hook up my boy Chris?
I think he literally said that. Said that somewhere. Meanwhile,
did the Katz brothers help him out get the Big Mac sack?
I maybe they did. Maybe they got in touch with McDonald's, or maybe McDonald's has been with the Chiefs for so damn long that it didn't matter who his agent was. I'm sure he's getting compensated fairly for it. He essentially has to play on an incentive. I was being sarcastic. He had to play on an incentive-laden franchise tag. this year for all intents and purposes to get this money. And he's not going to be remembered as the third most important player on this dynasty for the Chiefs, which he has been for a while now. He was more important to that defense than Tyrann Mathieu. He's more important to this defense than Justin Reed or Nick Bolton or Trent McDuffie. Great players, none of whom are as great as Chris Jones. And instead of having his legacy lined up, instead of having his money lined up, he was out there in a sideshow. Again, I'm glad he got his money, and I'm glad the Chiefs let him go get it. But he was a part of a sideshow when Kelsey and Mahomes were in sweats, cheering on the rest of their teammates. Chris Jones had to go be some pawn out there, pass rushing next to Neil Farrell. Like, this is their fault. And the last real dagger in this for me is that Michael Katz had the gall to think that tweet was going to go over well. That's embarrassing. Because not only have you misjudged your client's worth and what the Chiefs would pay him and how that entire process would pan out and how fans would react, not only have you misjudged every single other part of that, you also misjudged how people viewed you and that contract. This was not a win for Chris Jones or for the Katz brothers. This was an unfortunate thing that Chris Jones had to do because of them. So I am glad Chris Jones got his money. I am glad he has the relationship with the coaches and the teammates that he does. I love Chris Jones. I've loved watching Chris Jones. The best thing he could do for his next act of his NFL career is to get a professional NFL agent to negotiate his next contract, even if that means it's not with the Chiefs. Because if he goes and gets a real certified professional agent who knows what they're doing, they might end up leading him to some other team with more cap space next year, and that would be disappointing. But at least he'd get paid and not be a clown show in Week 18 that the agents tried to take a victory lap over.
I'm most excited that he left the game healthy.
Yes.
Played 46 snaps and did not get injured. Thankfully, there was a lot of carnage yesterday around the NFL, and it looked like the Chiefs, weren't one of those in terms of some of the significant injuries. Wanya Morris concussion, Justin Ross hamstring.
Short week for Wanya is unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pacheco thing too.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So I'm happy that he's left the game healthy, all good, great. Get the rest this week. Get ready for the Miami Dolphins and go wreak some havoc there. The Katz brothers' victory lap was so close to the Raiders' victory lap at Arrowhead Stadium in how foolish it was. The difference is the Raiders actually got a victory. Look, I don't know how much money guaranteed is going to be for Chris Jones. All right, wrapping up this hour. One more wide open hour, an 11 o'clock hour, to talk about the Chiefs, what we saw, actual things from the game.
I feel better now, which is important.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel better. Chris Jones feels better. He got his money. I think some of the Chiefs players that did not play, probably rejuvenated, feel a little bit better. Travis Kelce, I hope, feels a little bit better, looks a little quicker out there, even though it's going to be, 0 degrees. I don't know how quick people are going to look, which, again, if it's 0 degrees and slows some teams down, then that's what you would want to slow the Miami Dolphins down.
Slow them down to Travis Kelce's current resting speed.
Exactly right.
He's not going to get any faster.
Yes. And Dolphins lost another young player to injury, another defensive end. They had a play where Melvin Ingram was guarding the tight end.
Yeah, it was on Kincaid there, too. That's a young buck.
Yeah, no kidding. We'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday night. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. If you want to give us a call, you can do that. One more hour to go before Field Yates.
$19.58. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-381-810 is the phone number. 913-912-4810. Field Yates comes up at noon. We will not hear from Andy Reid today. There is no press conference for Andy Reid today. They play on a Saturday, so everything's going to be moved up a day. So that means tomorrow we'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. On Wednesday, we'll get the coordinators. on Thursday, we'll hear from Andy Reid in a quote-unquote Fast Friday that he does Fridays around 1 o'clock. So that'll be Thursday around 1 o'clock when we will hear from Andy Reid heading into the playoffs as they get set for the Miami Dolphins in a line that started out very briefly at the Chiefs 1.5, has now moved to the Chiefs -3.5, and a total of 47.5 that's now dropped to 42.5 based on I think the weather and also some injuries too. I mean, Tyreek Hill took a knee to the ribs on the final play that he was in. Very next play is when Tua threw an interception. But Tyreek Hill left that game. I don't know. I mean, he's going to play on Saturday night, no doubt. But, you got a knee for Mostert and you got an ankle for Jalen Waddle and maybe some sore ribs for Tyreek Hill. 0 degrees and -8 feels like aren't really easy on the joints and injuries, tightening up and things like that to try to keep those things warm throughout the game. So, and the Dolphins also lost another one of their, good young players on a punt return that his knee explodes. And all of a sudden the rest of the game, it's, Melvin Ingram and Emmanuel Ogbah playing full snaps. There are a lot of advantage. There is zero reason for the Chiefs to lose this game.
Yes.
Zero reason. This would be a massive disappointment if the Chiefs lost this game. It'd be different if we looked at the Dolphins, the iteration that they were at different times this year before they lost Jalen Phillips and also Bradley Chubb, and if Mostert and Jalen Waddle were fully healthy and their offensive line was healthy and they were playing the Dolphins this week in 40-degree weather, it'd be a different feel. But there are a whole lot of things that go into it for this Saturday as to say, yeah, it would be a massive disappointment if the Chiefs lost to the Dolphins on Saturday night.
And that's it feels almost wild to say that because 4 weeks ago that would have felt like we were way out ahead of our skis.
I don't want to play the Dolphins. I don't want to play the Bills.
And how at that point could any Chiefs playoff loss be a disappointment when you're kind of expecting losses by and large? But it's the specifics of everything you just went through there. It's the 0-degree game where your starting edges are Chiefs legends Melvin Ingram and Emmanuel Ogbah.
And one of their starting cornerbacks might be Eli Apple.
Another Chiefs legend, and
smoking that apple pack,
and those 45-year-old defensive ends. Ogbah's not as old as Ingram, obviously. I haven't Googled their ages today, but you're gonna have Isaiah Pacheco running like the Tasmanian Devil in 0-degree weather, just into the flabby arms of Melvin Ingram, like that. I don't know how many times they're gonna want to be there for that. I think that we'll have plenty of time to break down the game and all, but I don't think it is short-sighted to go from maybe a couple weeks ago saying, yeah, I'll take Miami at Arrowhead, to really, if it's just Chubb and Waddle and Mostert, again, not if they're perfectly healthy, but just if they're regular NFL average healthy, and they've just gotten decimated lately.
Yep. Let's bring in Rodney to the conversation. 913-3810810. Rodney, welcome in. Go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
What's going on, Jason? It's been a minute.
It's been a while, man.
I've been out doing research, and you took
Awesome.
my point. You took my big point,
Dang.
and I think this would be a big devastation if they lose, but I don't see them losing. They have a hard time playing against very tough opponents. They have a very hard time with it. And I hear a lot of Chiefs fans talking about, some fans don't want to play against Miami, some fans don't want to play against Buffalo. I don't think Buffalo or Miami want to go up against this defense. I don't think they want to go up against this defense. They don't want to go against an offense that's putting things together. And I think this is more of mental and emotional coaching more than it is so players when it comes to the offense. And so when I look at this team, I think they have a very high chance of just railroading Miami, because I think they're just ready for the offseason to start just so they can get out of that weather. And even to sit back and let's think practical, Buffalo might not have an easy task against Pittsburgh. If T.J. Watt is playing and looking how, finicky Josh Allen can be, defense is not nothing to play around with. So let's say it's an interception here, and Kenny or whoever the quarterback will be for Pittsburgh just don't turn the ball over. It's a whole different ball game for Buffalo. And to me, I really feel like I think the Chiefs can take Baltimore if they get their act together. I hope our tackles are healthy, but just like I said, Isaiah Pacheco running up the middle in this type of cold weather, Jesus, man, and no linebacker is not trying to deal with that. no linebacker is not going to do it. The sooner or later, if he even gets close to 100 yards in the first half, game is over. They're just going to keep running the ball. And on top of that, look at Rasheed Rice. How he run? You are not taking him down. It's a wrap. If they start really getting back to the old school West Coast offense, Miami defense is not keeping up with this offense. And I just wanted to hear your point on that.
Hey, Rodney, I appreciate it, man, for calling in. 913-308-10-810. No, I'm with you. I like I said, and I apologize for stealing your point right before we went to you, but he said it'd be a big devastation if the Chiefs lost. I think it would be a massive disappointment if the Chiefs lost this game. I think defensively, with the players they have lost on this team, the Dolphins, defensively, the Chiefs' offense should be able to do some work. And the Chiefs' defense, we already know that they held that Dolphins team to 14 points. That was with Waddle and Mostert playing. And, I mean, I think they're both going to be out there. I think Mostert and Waddle will be on the field. I don't know how effective they will be while they're out there. I don't know how long they will be out there. It might be the Jalen Waddle on Saturday doing what McCole Hardman did against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game last year of, I got to do everything I can to play because this may be the last game of the year. This also may be my last game with the Chiefs. I know that's not the Jalen Waddle situation, but Jalen Waddle might be looking and going, I've got to do everything I can do to play this week because this might be the last game of the year. And if I'm healthy next week, it may not matter if we don't win. And I'll deal with next week, but I got to get on the field and do what I can. But he's not going to be Jalen Waddle if he's out there. It's different than a quarterback with a high ankle sprain than a guy, like Jalen Waddle and what he does. So all of the advantages are on the Chiefs' side. How they lose this game is if they get into the turnover machine and do what, unfortunately, they've done sometimes and lost to what feels like maybe inferior teams because they lost the turnover battle. They cannot do what Josh Allen did last night against the Dolphins, which is turn it over 3 times.
Yep.
2 significant turnovers. 1, that was an arm punt.
Yep.
His first interception, it was 3rd and long, and he threw it deep.
Was that one not 4th down? Somebody threw a pick yesterday on 4th down. Maybe I'm mixing it. Maybe Tua had a 4th down deep shot.
No, it was
one of those was 4th. There was a 4th and 2 pick last night.
4th and 2 was Josh Allen. So yeah, that was probably the arm punt at that point, and actually saved him 13 yards.
It was legitimately a decent punt. Yeah.
Was it I think it was the Tua first interception of the game. Tua's first interception was an arm punt.
Okay,
that's what it was. So Josh Allen's 3 interceptions.
I was also barely watching at that point, so that tracks.
So, and Josh Allen's 4th down, heave into the end zone. Whatever.
Yeah.
More of a big deal that, they showed some different angles that he passed up on what looked like an open receiver just to pick up a quick first down. And then maybe tried to make a bigger play out of it. And then at that point, it was toast. It was done. It's 4th down. I'm just going to give it a shot in the end zone there. But the fading away on his back foot interception to Eli Apple can't happen. And the fumble in the red zone for the Bills can't happen. I mean, that's 6 points they took off the board there. They still won. If the Chiefs get into that, guys drop the football, a fumble here or there, it's cold, crazy things happen, a punt return like what happened with the Bills against the Dolphins. If that happens, you can lose games. Dolphins have some players. But the advantages are on the Chiefs' side on Saturday night because of all the circumstances surrounding this particular game. Let's go to Keith next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Keith, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Yeah, just a comment about the Chiefs. I think the only really way the Chiefs are going to move forward in these playoffs is they're going to have to stop playing so conservative. I mean, you see what was that the Raiders game where Patrick Holmes threw 2 bombs downfield, and I guess one was to Rice and the other guy. I mean, a pure example that I'll hurry up and finish up. When you think about Tom Brady, the reason why Tom Brady had 7 Super Bowl rings, because Tom Brady plays every down from the start of the game to the finish as if he's in the 4th quarter with less than 2 minutes to go to get downfield to score a field goal to tie the game up or a touchdown to win. He plays every down that way from the start of the game to the finish, and even if his receivers drop the ball, he's going right back to them. So Patrick Mahomes, he needs to take that same philosophy. Like a lot of times when the Chiefs get the ball, the first time they get possession of it, he's handing the ball off to the running back. No, throw that ball downfield, play aggressive. That's all I want to put out. What are your comments about that?
Keith, I appreciate it. 913-381-0810. I think that has to be part of the game plan for the Chiefs moving forward. They cannot just simply say everything underneath and run the football. They have to take some shots. They did that against the Bengals. The shots were there. They took them. I think one of the most encouraging things, as you mentioned, if somebody drops the ball, hey, go back to them. I think one of the more encouraging signs from that Bengals game, last game Mahomes played, was the second drive out of the half after the fourth down stop by the Chiefs. The first play, he went deep to MVS. MVS dropped the ball. Third down on that same set of downs, he went to Justin Watson in that same spot, throwing the ball deep. He didn't shy away from taking a deep shot because somebody dropped the ball. He went right back to it. That was the read, take the shot deep. Rashee Rice and Mahomes read the next possession, the defense the same way, and he lobbed it up there through it. Rashee Rice caught the ball. It was perfect execution all the way around. Those things have to be a part of the game plan. But I think you're going to be severely disappointed on Saturday night if the first play of the game you want them to pass the ball. Because Isaiah Pacheco is running the ball on the first play of the game. I'll bet Josh's life savings on that.
I would rather you not bet my life savings on it. I don't know what odds you're getting or what your return's going to be, but I think the other part of that's so funny, and I don't disagree with what you just said, but it is so funny to think about how much the analysis on this offense has oscillated over the last year or so,
right.
Where it's, take the underneath stuff. Well, be more aggressive. And again, it's in this case, I think the caller's right. You also need a player who can make you right when you are aggressive, when you do take those deep shots. I know at some point we will talk about McCole Hardman, who played 100% of the offensive snaps yesterday, which is wild. And I think telling, you need guys who can reward you for those aggressive shots. And Patrick Mahomes has been let down there. That's not Mahomes losing the desire to go deep. It's him realizing that the cost benefit hasn't been there. I do think they need that deep passing game to be a part of it again. You're going to have to figure out who's going to be the guy that helps you do that.
Let's talk about McCole Hardman right here. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So I had said last week that McCole, it's a tough situation, a tough spot to be in when you're saying McCole Hardman should be somebody that can help save this offense.
Yeah.
Whether needing saving or not, I mean, that's an extreme, terminology for that. But what I'd said last week was I want McCole Hardman to play the entire game against the Chargers because I want him to be ready to go to play the entire rep of what MVS was getting. 100% of the MVS snaps, I want that to go to McCole Hardman. Whatever Marquez Valdez-Scantling is getting in this offense, that should be number 12's routes moving forward. It's what I said on Thursday and Friday, and I'm even more convinced and doubling down. He dropped a ball right to him, a quick one down the line of scrimmage, and dropped it. I'm like, of course. I just talked about when's the last time you saw a ball go right through McCole Hardman's hands. And he stopped on a route that ended up being an interception. Before he stopped on the route that ended up, or slowed down on a route that ended up being an interception, he was fighting for the football. He was catching the ball. He was turning up the field and running. He was picking up yards. He was out there working his tail off, making contested catches. And I tweeted out, McCole Hardman should get every single MVS rep moving forward. And, of course, then right after that is when the interception happens, and it shows McCole slow down. And so many people were like, that didn't age well. You sure about that? And I just wanted to have a blanket response of, have you not watched MVS? McCole slowing down on a route when the safety was over the top? Yeah, he shouldn't slow down on that route.
Yeah.
But McCole Hardman running his route going, well, this ball ain't coming to me because the safety's there, so this is not a read to where I'm going to get the ball here. Maybe I've already cleared out. I've done my job. I've cleared out. He shouldn't stop on the route. I am not making excuse for that. But that, after watching yesterday's game with McCole Hardman, that play is where you would go, nope, MVS needs to be back in there and playing every single snap. Because, he doesn't quit on a route. He doesn't catch the bleeping ball, but he doesn't quit on a route that we know of. Maybe he does quit on a route. It's just that,
definitively, I think we have seen him quit on a route this year.
It's just that Patrick didn't throw him the ball maybe on that particular play or that particular route. Maybe he quit on a route that was supposed to happen and he went a different way. McCole Hardman should get every single MVS rep on Saturday night against the Dolphins, and then hopefully, if they win, then the divisional round and on and on and on. MVS can be the McCole Hardman come in and play 10 snaps if you need to play those 10 snaps to get that guy off the field. McCole Hardman is healthy. He looked healthy. He played 100% of the snaps. He should be MVS on Saturday night.
I'm going to accentuate the negatives first just to underline it again, because I'll also add in the play where he did fight for the football. It just hit me a little sideways that he was like very clearly took like 3 steps out of bounds, came back in, made a contested catch. Good defense. The defenders can use the boundary there. But he comes in, he makes that catch, and then immediately starts celebrating the first down. It's like, man, from TV, I knew you were out of bounds by like a full yard.
There was also the contested catch over the middle.
That was a great, legitimate, like, Blake Bell, this is an interception, I think is what I wrote in my notes. If that's Blake Bell, that's a pick.
Yeah.
If it's McCole Hardman, it's a great
25,
catch.
30-yard gain, whatever it was.
So, again, the like out of bounds thing was just like, know where you're at. And the interception's like, hey, man, you don't stop running here. And maybe if it's Patrick Mahomes, you got a different gear that you're not giving to Blaine Gabbert. Maybe, to your point, I hadn't considered. You see the safety, like, well, he's not going to put the ball there. That's where the safety's going to be. He's what?
Hold on, where's the ball?
I'm accentuating the 3 little like blips and then the drop horizontal pass. 3 negatives. I'm saying that. I'm acknowledging those things. I think he might be the second best wide receiver on this football team right now. I think there's a legitimate chance he's wide receiver 2. Because in Matt Lane, can't remember if it's him or Craig up next, but Matt Lane of KCSN, we talked to every 3 weeks, tweeted about McCole Hardman deep over. What year is it? 2020? And it's why getting Hardman is legitimately helpful. He can actually run and actually pressure defenses vertically. He will go up and put effort into catching the football. He'll try to high point it or at least get it at the contested point as much as he can. He'll come back for the football. He has a gear of speed these other guys don't have. And, for a game that is by and large a preseason game where you're trying to get reps for situations, 100% of reps from McCole Hardman, to me, is absolutely a good thing. It is absolutely, this is the plan for the playoffs. Not 100%, but hey, man, you just got back off IR. You barely saw the field last week. We are going to give you every rep you can to get you as ready to game speed as possible, as opposed to Justin Ross, who played 66% of the snaps before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you got something for us in the playoffs, but really, we're seeing what Justin Ross, as a football player, is showing us right now after missing a huge chunk of the season. Getting, Lucas Niang out there, just so you're ready, whatever. Giving McCole Hardman 58 of 58 offensive snaps and feeding him pretty consistently. And he had double-digit targets. I think he had 11 targets.
11 targets.
That seemed even high when I saw the box score for postgame. But that's something. I don't know that he's saving the offense. I don't know where the lines are going to be set for his over-under on Saturday. But there is something of real value in what we saw from McCole Hardman yesterday, and it's a little bit of a bummer that we're in Week 18 talking about the traded for McCole Hardman as a potential lifeboat for this offense, but it's what we're talking about, and I think it's a good thing to have McCole Hardman ready to go here.
McCole Hardman played 100% of the snaps, 58 out of 58, and Richie James played 83% of the snaps, 48 out of 58. Those are two of the main things I want. I wanted to see McCole Hardman play a lot and Richie James play a lot.
Yep.
I would have liked to see more targets to Richie James. He only got 2. He caught both of them.
That he played as much as he did.
But hey, if getting McCole Hardman rolling and is set to take over for MVS, which that would be awesome. I will love for that to happen. Then great. And Richie James getting more acclimated to the offense and playing, 83% of the snaps to get in there and offer more. I mean, those are the different levels where this offense can go. If you have somebody running MVS's routes that Patrick Mahomes trusts and will catch the ball.
Threat, yes.
And Rashee Rice doing what he's doing. And if Richie James continues to, the ball's thrown his way, he catches it. I mean, 2 of 2. His targets and receptions over the last 3-4 games have been pretty nice. So it minimal, but it's like, 1 target, 1 catch. 2 targets, 2 catches. 2 targets, 2 catches. Like, they're throwing the ball his way, and he's catching it. Whether he's wide open or not, he's catching it. And then Travis Kelce, hopefully getting a little healthier, a little fresher for the playoffs. Offensive line, hopefully they can, be good to go with Jawan Taylor. Luckily, he returned to the game. Wanya Morris concussion protocol. Donovan Smith still with the stinger, missed the game. So, certainly things to keep an eye on for this team.
I think we're on the same page here probably, but just as a little early, just sort of flag to plant in the sand, I think you put Joe Tooney at left tackle if Wanya and Donovan Smith don't play, right?
Yeah. And
otherwise you're probably moving Taylor to left and then letting Niang play right.
That's what they'll do.
I don't need Juwan Taylor getting his first he got a few yesterday. I don't need him getting his first meaningful reps at left tackle in a playoff game. And the drop off from Tooney to Allegretti at left guard is a drop off, I guess, because Tooney's excellent, but it's not going to change your game. And Tooney's been good at left tackle. I don't know. I know we're on the same page here. I'm just concerned because I'm wondering how the Chiefs are viewing that.
Yeah, I think Juwan Taylor's going to be your left tackle and Lucas Niang will be your right tackle if Wanya and Donovan Smith are out.
You can keep Tooney on the same side. He moves over a spot.
Right. Yeah.
I know.
And Allegretti plays, which I'm perfectly fine with.
I like Allegretti. He's good at football.
I like him, which is a good thing. You to play for the Chiefs, you need to be good at football.
You don't need to be, but it's nice if you can be.
Chris, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Chris, go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, little coaching commentary. So we have 3-star players on the Chiefs and lots of other stars, but one of those star players is Chris Jones. Why did we play him for 3 quarters and put the individual above the team? We're resting our star players for the playoffs, and I understand that he needed his incentive, but it makes me feel like the coaching staff's a little soft. Like, okay, Chris Jones, you have 1 quarter. If you can't get it in 1 quarter, we're going to rest you because the team is more important than the individual. With everything that happened this year, it just kind of leads me to feel like the Chiefs are soft, and maybe that's why, we haven't had some of the edge with the enemy leaving, this, that, and the other. I just feel like Andy Reid kind of caved in to Chris Jones a little bit. And I know nobody really cares or wants to talk about it today, but if he had gotten injured, could you imagine what we'd be talking about today? Why on earth did Chris Jones play most of that game to get that incentive? Thank you.
Chris, I appreciate the phone call. We talked about it at the first part of the show, just me sort of addressing my feelings as how I feel on the whole thing and struggling with different parts of it. That, hey, I'm happy for Chris Jones. The best thing is that he was not injured in the game, obviously, and there's some correlation, but it is not apples to apples with Travis Kelce in terms of 16 yards to get 1,000 as opposed to $1.5 million and a nice little bonus to get to 10 sacks. The best thing about yesterday is that he was not injured, because even those that were like, yeah, I'm glad he played, would be pissed off if it was like Sam Laporta, where it's like, well, it's not, or TJ Watt. TJ Watt out, a couple weeks?
Yeah, probably
with his knee, which sucks because
he's not there in the game that mattered, obviously. Like they needed to have that.
Absolutely, but if the Chiefs are playing Pittsburgh, I'm like, oh, that's too bad that he's out. Pittsburgh's playing Buffalo. I'm like, damn it, that's too bad that he's out and not playing, or expected to be out. Yes, as far as being soft, that soft team is the reigning Super Bowl champions then.
That's a fair point.
Andy Reid didn't change overnight to be like, okay, well, now I'll let the team just run all over me and nothing. And Eric Bieniemy didn't create Andy Reid into a Super Bowl champion. And who knows what happens in this playoff run. But I also think Chris Jones playing is maybe part of the reason why the players love playing for Andy Reid.
Right.
And whether that means Chris Jones is going to return to the Chiefs or not. But yeah, I'm not completely comfortable with the fact that he played 3 quarters. And I addressed that it just feels weird. And it doesn't sit perfect in that he had his best game since 2018 in rushing the passer when he needed the sack. There's context to that with Chris Jones just setting out in a game that didn't matter to only get the sack, not to set an edge, not to worry about maybe even pass rush lanes, not to worry about the run or anything like that, just to simply get the sack. And Steve Spagnuolo calling specific plays to free up Chris Jones for sacks, as opposed to maybe in a game against Miami or Buffalo or Baltimore that he would not do that. Yeah, I think those are all that's all context that has to be added into this whole thing. But it is also an incentive that he may have reached if he played week 1.
And again, I have to caveat this because his contract is so weird because of when it was restructured and when it was actually signed and how bad his agents are. So lots of factors. But in most circumstances, a team could just give you that incentive before the game ever happens. and it should have been worth $1.25 million to Clark Hunt's pocket or the Chiefs' salary cap next year, I think. Again, really, it should have been worth $1 million to sit Chris Jones down to say, hey, because what the point of an incentive is, you perform at this level, you get financially rewarded for it. The difference between him getting 9.5 sacks or getting a full sack, one time he got a half sack this year, it's irrelevant. It's just counting numbers. It's, again, the functional difference. If Travis Kelce was going from 1,001 yards to 1,017 yards, no one would care about 16. We're talking about a half a sack because it gets us to the numbers of how many fingers we have. Like that, it's just 10 to be double digits. We don't know exactly. Again, this contract was weird, and so I don't want to be as definitive as I probably was last night on the postgame show, reevaluating the fact that contract is a strange one. There are a lot of ways Chris Jones could have not played yesterday, and it does feel a little weird that he played. Let me check again. I believe Chris Jones played 46 snaps. It's 55% of the defensive snaps last night.
55%.
He played more snaps than B.J. Thompson and Neil Farrell combined. That's not what's supposed to happen in Week 18. That stinks.
And part of incentives is to okay, if you get these sacks, that's an impact for this team.
Right, good point.
Right. 9.5 and 10.5 sacks, the same exact impact for the team this year.
That's
for Chris
right.
Jones.
That's right.
His last sack made zero impact on
your
on
playoff
this team.
seeding
or
anything like
anything
that.
or any
Yes.
game or anything like that.
That's a great point.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue with your phone calls. Field Yates joins us at noon. We continue rolling along as the Chiefs get set for the Miami Dolphins. Came out of the game relatively healthy with a lot of the players that will be out there, including Chris Jones. And just have to keep an eye on the offensive line for the Chiefs and those tackles with Wanya Morris and also Donovan Smith. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Field Yates coming up at noon, get his thoughts on the Chiefs and Dolphins and some of the other playoff scenarios going on and the storylines going on with the NFL playoffs. There are some fun storylines taking place, including the Deshaun Watson Bowl, as right now C.J. Stroud being interviewed on ESPN Live because the game is in Houston tonight, national championship game in Houston, and C.J. Stroud is there. They're hosting the Cleveland Browns. And Deshaun Watson will not be playing in this game. Shocker. Let's go to Northland Joe next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Joe, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. One of the things that I think might be a key, especially with being a cold weather game, is going to be what happens when the quarterback gets pressure, works out of the pocket. With Mahomes, I think he typically looks for the first down marker and scrambles for the first down. Tua tries to find someone, maybe work it into a position where it might be double coverage or coverage that is questionable, and that might make a difference in moving the yardsticks and just having drives that stall out. And by the way, it made me smile yesterday as a Missouri alumni to see Gabbert pop it down the field a couple of times. That was fun. But I wanted to know what you guys think. I mean, I do know that Mahomes has a talent for knowing the first down marker, scrambling, getting down, getting the first down, and moving the chains. Tua, I think, is hesitant. I think yesterday, I think he ran one time for minimal yardage. And that might be something that he looks at as something where he looks to throw, and Mahomes looks to scramble and find the next play that he might get down the field farther.
Yeah, Joe, I appreciate the phone call. Look, I think that's a huge factor going into the game. Look, the Chiefs are able to pressure the quarterback at a better rate than the Miami Dolphins are. And even the Buffalo Bills, if you look at that game last night. The Dolphins are a big timing offense. And if you throw off the timing, you throw off the rhythm of their offense. And they are not a second play offense. When the first play breaks down, okay, now you got to worry about the second play. If the seeds hold, the Chiefs will be playing two completely different quarterback styles in back-to-back weeks. They'll be facing off against Tua, that's going to want to remain in the pocket and throw the ball on time. And if the first play breaks down, probably not much in the second play. Whereas if they play Buffalo in the divisional round, you're playing a quarterback that's not in a timing offense, that wants to hold the ball, that wants to create, that wants to let plays extend, that can run around, that can do things with his legs, and he's a linebacker that's playing quarterback. It's just completely different. And then if they play Baltimore, well, now you're talking about a different style as well. Just a fast, quick quarterback that also has a rocket arm and really good skill position players, and also a timing offense with a really good run game to go along with that. So, yeah, they'll be facing three different styles of quarterbacks. The second two closer than what they're facing off against Tua. Chiefs putting pressure on the Dolphins with their front four without having to blitz would be a game ender for the Dolphins. If the Chiefs are not able to do that and they're blitzing and the Dolphins are staying on time, and more importantly, the Dolphins are able to run the football consistently, which is one of the things that they hang their hat on, is the initial part of running the football, picking up yards, staying ahead of the chains, timing throws to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, etc. If they're able to do that, then it's an issue. The Chiefs were dynamite against the run in Germany against Miami. And I know that Raheem Mostert's final line looked pretty good, but that final drive when the Chiefs were playing the pass and they handed off to Mostert twice and he picked up like 40 yards on 2 runs, skews a little bit of what was happening in the game in reality when they were trying to run the football. And the Miami Dolphins running game fits the Chiefs personnel in terms of a matchup in the Chiefs' favor than, say, the Ravens or the Bills, in that the Miami Dolphins are side to side and fast and use the speed, and the Chiefs are a fast defense, and their speed running right at the Chiefs is when the Chiefs have had issues on their defensive side. So, again, what I said earlier in the show is there are real advantages for the Chiefs in this game against the Dolphins that, to me, would be a massive disappointment if they did not win.
And I don't even know, I don't have the metric to quantify this across other teams, but I just cannot imagine a world in which there's a better tackling secondary in football than what the Chiefs have, and a team that seems to really enjoy it. I'm glad Shamari Connor ended up being, he came back into the game, so I guess he was fine. He came up a little woozy looking, but that entire group of young DBs, and then even I think Nick Jones had a couple of hammers also, or Cam Jones? Cam Jones was all over the place. Nick Jones had a couple of plays.
Yes, Cam Jones looked good. Playing.
Linebacker who got the word 44 on your screen yesterday. If you were watching and maybe going, who's that guy? Is that Dorian O'Daniel?
No, it wasn't. He was making
44,
plays.
Right? Oh, sorry, stop! Dorian. I still thought that was going to work out.
Sorry, DOD.
You've got a Dolphins offense that wants to run horizontal. Let L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson clean that up. I feel pretty good about that.
Let's bring in Andre to the conversation. 913-381-0810. Andre, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys taking calls, man, letting the fans have a voice.
Absolutely.
I heard you guys talking about the point and a half opening spread on this game this weekend, man. I believe, to me, that's about right. I think from my understanding, the home team normally gets 3, so I guess technically Miami's kind of favoring this game if it was only a point and a half. I think as a Chiefs fan, the best thing that happened to us this past week was the offense didn't play. So it's giving us an opportunity to kind of forget how bad they've actually played.
Just wipe the slate clean.
I think it's good for the fans' psyche that they did not play because they played so horribly. Do you know that with this team, man, we have not beat a day one starter since we played the Dolphins, which was a 21-14 game that included probably one of the best defensive players we ever seen. So that's the last time we actually beat a day one starter in the National Football League. So, and that was 21-14. The offense sitting last week, I did not necessarily agree with that. I didn't think they had played well enough to be sitting people. The first 15 plays they come out with, I expect to look pretty good. After that, I don't know. And as far as the matchup is concerned, man, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I take Jalen Ramsey, stick him over there against Rasheed Rice, and I take my chances. I heard some opinions out there about, they just kind of tired of the regular season, now the playoffs, and all of a sudden they're going to turn it up. I don't know where exactly that's going to come from. Are we expecting Scanlon to be a superstar now? Are we expecting Watson all of a sudden go off? I think realistically we need to go out to the game and expect to see a little bit more of what we've seen this season. I'm just hoping that Patrick is being real conservative with the football, doesn't try to be a hero, and let this defense bring this home. Because we go out and try to play superstar football with these wide receivers, he still got the same wide receivers he had 2 weeks ago, and I don't expect these guys to change overnight. Miami's not going to win this football game, I don't believe, because anytime you construct the offense and the whole entire offense is built around not getting your quarterback hit at all, ever, because you're scared you're going to get a concussion, it's kind of a hard way to win a football game. It's 2.5 seconds, the ball is coming out, and everybody in the National Football League knows that. I will be at the game this week. Harrison Butler, please stay warm. We would like to see you out of the field doing what you did last time, special teams player of the week, but I just don't see our receivers, man, getting better in a week and a half or 2 weeks. So we're going to have to be real conservative, man, just take care of the football. Man, again, man, appreciate you guys taking my call, and I'll listen to the rest of the show, man. You guys have a great day.
Andre, you too, man. Great call, man. A lot of good points in there. And didn't even realize, looking back, that the only teams they have beaten are backup quarterbacks so far since that Miami game. Well, then, okay. Well, if they beat Miami, still the only starting quarterback they've beaten is Tua. That's an interesting perspective there. I think there's an element of going into this game against Miami expecting the offense to look like it has and be pleasantly surprised if it doesn't.
Yep.
Don't go in thinking that they're just going to turn it on and then be disappointed and go, well, what the hell happened? Well, what happened is what this team has been this year. I think it's going to be more on the front five and Isaiah Pacheco. I think they're going to rely on that and play defense and win the game that way. And Andre and everybody else going out to that game. Whew.
Bundle, like Mahomes says.
Hey,
cardboard for the feet as well.
That's
whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. I just. Chris Jones talked about the fans are awesome and the fans will bring it. I hope they bring it as well on behalf of everybody else that is not going to brave the elements. So good on you, Chiefs fans that are going to be there. And I know you got a full week to prepare. It ain't like you're going to go out there and go, what happened? Hold on. This is shorts and a T-shirt was not a good move. but that is going to be miserable, especially if it's a low-scoring game and it's like 10-7, and just miserable. If it's fun and the Chiefs are winning and all of that stuff, that'd be great. And I hope that's the case. But man, better than I for those that are going out there and braving the elements and trying to bring the noise against the Dolphins.
Ingrained in my brain and digits forever was, I believe, a Tyler Thigpen Chiefs-Dolphins game 10 plus years ago now that me and my dad and my cousin all went to. It was right around my birthday. And he got good. My dad had good tickets. Somebody else looked at it, and went, "No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go." So it was like the best tickets we've ever had. And it was really cool. In fact, it was freezing. And I remember spending a good portion of at halftime, along with many other people, just huddled up in the bathroom because there was some heat in there, just running the hand warmer, the hand dryers in the bathroom. Dylan said it. The cardboard, you got to put something between your shoes and that asphalt. Mm-hmm. It's not a good scene. However many pairs of socks you're currently planning on wearing, double it. Okay, you doubled it, add another pair. Find the foot warmer things. Your toes. I know you're not going to feel them by the end, but make sure you have them attached to your body by the end. Just take care of your digits and you'll be good.
And I'm proud of everybody out there.
Me too.
I'm proud of you guys out there and screaming and yelling and making a difference.
Hey, you know who I'm not proud of?
80,000 entrees that are there.
Whoever's out there shirtless, I'm not proud. I don't care how tough you are. I don't want your nipples to freeze off. Put a shirt on.
I don't need you getting pneumonia and not showing up for the game against the winner of Houston and Cleveland when Pittsburgh goes to Buffalo and wins.
Cover your face.
Come on.
Scarves. Get Kadarius Toney's balaclava situation.
Go wear Chiefsaholics wolf costume.
That would be fantastic.
Just a bunch of people. Wolf out. It's a wolf out this weekend.
If you're going to represent an outfit of a fallen Chief superfan, I would go wolf costume as opposed to some other alternatives.
Yeah, because you will be very cold if you went an alternative and dressed in his weekend garb.
Yeah.
Let's go to Don wrapping things up here in this segment. Don, go right ahead. What's on your mind, Don? Go right ahead.
Thank you guys for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I truly, truly enjoy your show. I
thank
listen
you
every day.
Thank you for being a part of it, Don.
I live at Lake of the Ozarks, where it's always a Chamber of Commerce day down here, whether it's hunting, fishing, or boating. I mean, it's just great to be down here. But I watched the game, and I see two things that really encouraged me. Tooney went to tackle, and the confidence grew. The penalties were non-existent, and there was more time in the pocket. And when Jones got the sack, the offense and defense and special teams and coaches came together, and there was confidence. And I think that's the thing that's going to push the Chiefs into the Super Bowl. I think we've been lacking it. They've been sleepwalking, it seems like to me. And these things just kind of gelled, and all of a sudden they could play football again instead of worrying about who was going to do what and when and what penalty was going to knock you backwards. And when he got that sack, Mahomes was running out on the field, cheering like, "Holy crap! Look what's happening to our Chiefs team now." You know, and it's not just one thing, and it just really gave me encouragement. And I personally, I said this before the game, I would take the Chiefs team against any team that's playing right now, simply because the things that have cost us this year has been stupid mistakes. And we're getting some of the guys out now that are not making the stupid mistakes, which I thought they should have been benched. Could have been me as a coach. I would have benched them before that. But I'm just really confident in what's going to happen. And, but again, I enjoy the far out of your show, and God bless you guys. You take care.
Don, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you for calling in and the kind words as well. If it's not ideal if Tooney has to move out to left tackle because there's an injury or something like that, or just inability and ineffectiveness. So hopefully that's not the case, but I do find confidence in that is an option, that it's not, oh my goodness, you're out there, that you're toast at that point. And I heard Nate talking about this morning, and I think it's a great point. And I know the game did not matter from the Chiefs' perspective, wins or losses, and a number of guys weren't playing. But when's the last time you saw a sideline that looked like they were having that much fun with the Chiefs?
They didn't celebrate that hard for the AFC West.
Right.
I mean, the Super Bowl. Winning the Super Bowl was the last time you saw as much emotion as you saw from the Chiefs yesterday.
Having that much fun as a sideline that they were in that game. And again, I know that they didn't need the win, and a lot of guys were resting. But there wasn't a frustration. There wasn't a Mahomes shaking his head and being mad. There was a Blaine Gabbert there when McCole stopped on the route. But Mike Edwards running down the field with the scoop and score. Clyde Edwards running with him.
Looking at the sideline at Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Giving him the go. Pointing him towards the end zone.
Go that way. Run that. The way you are running, keep running that way. And the sideline running down the field with Mike Edwards. And Edwards-Helaire being one of the guys that, and by the way, I mean, we have heard since, Edwards-Helaire has slid back and Pacheco, and then he hasn't lived up to the number one pick and all of that stuff. And, and we've heard so many people like he's a great teammate. Look, Edwards-Helaire has not cared about that. He showed up to work. He's done this and that. He's been a great teammate, all of that. I mean, he's shown that he's been a great teammate. Like the respect factor for Clyde Edwards-Helaire over the last month and a half has gone up and up and up from where it was with his frustrations about, being a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl, which I get. And then the non-parade, which I didn't get. All of that, and then to what he's done, the last 5-6 games or so, yeah, it's been fun to see. And that sideline looked like they were having as much fun as we've seen in a long time, and hopefully that can carry over into this next week, where you just sort of get a reset of all of the frustrations and the issues that have gone on. Just a quick reset, and now go have some fun. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, Field Yates comes up at noon. we will hang out with Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 sports director, and get into the playoffs, obviously, with the Chiefs getting ready for the Miami Dolphins on Saturday night. Talented Dolphins team and a Chiefs team that did get some rest. So a happy Chiefs locker room. I'm assuming not a happy happy Dolphins locker room getting ready for the Chiefs, but we'll see. You got to go out there and play. That's why they play the game. A play here, there, broken coverage, interception, fumble. Crazy things happen, especially in crazy weather, which is happening right now outside. So we'll see. But Field Yates, we'll talk with him coming up next and continue talking some NFL football, some college football as well, and maybe some college basketball.
He'll help you fantasy focus while he scoops the news. He's on TV more often than he's in bed. He'll break down the NFL without a single hair ever out of place. It's Field Yates of ESPN. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. A little Learn Funniest Best with Mick as well. Let's talk some NFL football, some playoff football with Field Yates from ESPN, our NFL insider. Field, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm doing well. Good to catch up with you, and we are officially on to the playoffs.
We are. The bracket is set. The seeds are set. And let's start with this before we look ahead. I thought for sure Jacksonville would find a way to win. I didn't know what would happen last night between Miami and Buffalo. I picked Buffalo to win that game, but certainly Miami had every chance to win that one. What's as you look at what's taken place, what happened with Jacksonville from where they were at 8-3 to now they are out of the playoffs, and they lose a game against Tennessee that had nothing to play for, and they had the division to play for?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's almost, and I don't know, I'm trying to find a good reason behind this, Jason, but it's almost like when you have a division that on paper is, amongst the weaker in the NFL coming into the year, right? We all felt like it was Jacksonville's to lose, and you almost wonder, did they not play urgently enough? But then, as you noted, they were 8-3 through the first 11 games of their season. So they came out as if they were motivated to get this season or this division clinched in a hurry. They're a confusing team. I posited this question to somebody yesterday, not really as a question that I was looking for a concrete answer to, but more as like a discussion point. Just if you were thrust into the position of needing to extend Trevor Lawrence right now, as we know, with quarterback negotiations, it's often that the latest deal is either the richest or very close to the richest. Are you comfortable paying Trevor Lawrence right now the kind of money that, obviously Patrick Mahomes, but more recently you've got guys like Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow who have seen huge deals, Lamar Jackson as well? Is he in that conversation? And while I think there is a chance he can get there, I don't know that he is through 3 seasons. Not to pin this all on Trevor, because obviously there's a lot more to it, but a team that had this player that was, sort of characterized as the latest NFL draft sensation through 3 seasons now, has just 1 playoff appearance and obviously 0 playoff wins.
And, it's
one playoff win, excuse me. That's right.
Yep,
they had the miracle comeback last year.
That's right, yes. And then, look, they gave the Chiefs all they could handle in that particular game. And, you're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs and Chad Henne at Arrowhead. It's just not something that's going to happen. Don't even try to do that. But, it is an interesting dilemma coming up for this Jacksonville team in the offseason, but also, carry it over to, Miami. The Chiefs are getting ready for the Dolphins, and, Miami sort of took the 1 year at a time sort of approach, and, we'll see what we got. We'll see what we got. I think they've got a good quarterback. Do they have a guy that's going to make Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, or demand that type of money, along with, we saw, Trevor Lawrence as just sort of the price of doing business, that Daniel Jones signs a crazy contract in the price of doing business, that, it might be better just to simply go forward with the ships lined up the way that they are instead of, trying to regroup and reorganize and rebuild, a completely different fleet, which is, what teams may have to do. And Chicago's dealing with that, but in a different situation because, they've got the number 1 pick as opposed to the Dolphins making the playoffs and the Jags, picking late in the teens.
Yeah, I like to remind people that GMs are paid for the hard decisions, not the easy ones. Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously quarterbacks lead to the most difficult decisions because there's almost always the most money involved. And if you're the Dolphins right now, I think that these next, at least 6 days and maybe longer will dictate how things go with Tua Tagovailoa. We'll see. They got to play the game on Saturday night. But if the Chiefs beat the Dolphins, then if my tracking is all correct, over the first 2 seasons, or the last 2 seasons, I should say, for the Dolphins, their wins against teams that would go on to have a winning record were the 2-0 Bills last year, the 1-6 Lions last year, who obviously went on for that that great finish to finish 9-8. The Cowboys game just a couple of weeks ago, maybe like one more. I mean, I think there might be one more in there that I'm forgetting. But the point for Miami is that 2 seasons in, there's no doubt they can score points, and there's no doubt that they can pummel inferior competition. But if you have, this year they have 1 win against teams with a winning record. That's fewer than the Arizona Cardinals and New England Patriots had. And those guys have 2 of the top 4 picks in the forthcoming NFL draft. So for Miami, I'm not saying that Tua isn't a player that you can build around. But if you if you come up short again in the playoffs and you lose in the wild card round for a back-to-back season, I think it makes all the decisions they have to make this upcoming off season a little more complicated and difficult, because they need to find maybe more like ceiling-raising players as opposed to floor-raising players.
How much does Field Yates is our guest? How much does momentum? I know that whether we believe in real momentum or not, or it's like baseball momentum as good as your next day starting pitcher. Momentum in the NFL might be just as good as your next matchup. And do you match up well against a particular team, or maybe just simply not momentum, but a team playing well, a team that looks like they're putting some things together. The Rams look like they're entering the playoffs at the right time. The Baltimore Ravens look like they're peaking at the right time. Buffalo's found ways to win these games as of late to go from are they even going to make the playoffs to they're the number 2 seed somehow. Whereas Miami's heading in the wrong direction, finishing 2-3. Philadelphia is falling apart at the seams with whatever's going on there. How much?
1-5.
Yeah, it's crazy. How much is it to where you look at a team and the Rams are scary because of how they're playing. Buffalo's finding ways to win, week in and week. Cleveland might be, playing at a much higher level because of what Joe Flacco's done in that defense, as opposed to, well, here's the matchup here, and here's the matchup there, and here's what other teams look like. Because the Chiefs are sort of just floating right there in the middle. They're not like too high, too low. They're not playing awesome football. They're playing terrible football and falling apart. How much stock do you put in to that aspect heading into the playoffs?
So it would have been an interesting question to ask me about 4 hours ago, because since that time, I have many colleagues at ESPN that are Eagles fans. And I think, some of them needed some therapy this morning. And I reminded them that during the Baltimore Ravens' last run to a Super Bowl title with Joe Flacco under center, they went 1-4 in their final 5 games of the NFL regular season. Now, those losses were to, I think, 4 teams that finished with a winning record. So it's not like they were these totally befuddling losses, which the Eagles have a couple of over their past 5 losses, including to the Giants and the Cardinals. But still, 4 losses in 5 games is not exactly how you draw it up going into the postseason. But prior to researching that or reminding myself of that, Jason, I would have said that it absolutely matters how you're playing going into the playoffs. I believe that wholeheartedly because, obviously when you're playing well, it's to me, it's almost like self-reflection. Okay, what do we do well, and how can we maximize that further in games that matter? So if you're the Rams right now, you figured out your formula. You figured out what works. And I think that Sean McVay's kind of already had a good idea for a long time about how he wants to play offense. But I think defensively, they found ways to kind of scratch and claw on a defense that is completely bereft of investment other than Aaron Donald, right? I mean, we were talking about a bunch of guys drafted day 3, undrafted players, guys signed off the scrap heaps. I mean, like their big money investments on defense this past off season were like guys brought back on minimum deals who've been cut by somebody else, like John Johnson III, right? So to me, I think it does matter, and I think that while you have to take care of business once you get into the postseason, I certainly believe teams go in with a different mindset, having won, multiple games in a row going into the postseason.
Visiting with Field Yates from ESPN, what do you make of this Miami Dolphins team? They head to Kansas City limping, I think quite literally, with some players. They lose Van Ginkel and Cameron Good last night in a defense that's already a mash unit. Tyreek Hill left the game early. Not sure what the extent of that would be with the getting kneed in the side right before. He might have returned to the game 2 plays later before the interception happened. But what do you make of this Miami Dolphins team that finishes 2-3 down the stretch, and they have just had so many what feels like debilitating injuries for them?
No question about it. They've had a lot of debilitating injuries, and that has been a big portion of their struggles over the last 5 games. Now, whether they'll have a guy like Jalen Waddle or Raheem Mostert back, I don't know. Waddle, based off of the description from Mike McDaniel in recent days, I feel like has a chance. Don't know that definitively. I'm not sure the Dolphins will until we get much closer to game time. I'll say this, though, Jason. I think playing in Kansas City matters. It just does. I don't care. I don't think anybody ever grows used to negative 10 degree weather. But, the Chiefs have played a lot of big games when it hasn't been like it was last night. It's just a shock to the system. We're all human, right? Now, the Dolphins did play a game in poor weather last year in the playoffs against the Bills and hung tough. But this is a team that in big games has not been nearly as explosive offensively. And if you look at the numbers for Tua, they're really good on aggregate for the season. He ended up leading the NFL in passing yards. That is nothing to shake a stick at, but it feels like it's kind of been a tale of 2 years for this Dolphins tucked within one season. And we know this Chiefs team, the formula is going to be for them to play opportunistic offense and play really good defense and have excellent special teams performances. And this is a game that if you had asked me 6 months ago, how would it be played in the playoffs, I'd say, 41-38. This could be a game that comes down to a few plays in the fourth quarter and more like 24-21.
Yeah, we joked about the line that opened up with the total being 47.5. And about 30 seconds later, it was down to 46. It's down to 45. It's now 42.5. So it's dropped 5 points.
Stop it. Has it really?
Yeah, it's dropped 5 points since it opened at 47.5.
That's unbelievable.
So,
that's unbelievable. They're getting too much action on that one, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be like -8 feels like at kickoff. And in the fourth quarter, minus 15. And I don't know how much, I like the Chiefs defense matching up against the Miami Dolphins offense and what the Dolphins do well in speed and sideline to sideline. That's what the Chiefs defense is sort of built for. And the defensive player, I don't think the Dolphins playing an entire game with Emmanuel Ogbah and Melvin Ingram as their defensive ends is going to offer much in the way of resistance to the Chiefs' offense. So we'll see what happens, though, because it's the NFL.
Eli Apple is their second corner as well, right? If there's no Xavier Howard.
Right.
The offense obviously hasn't been lighting the world on fire this year, but I think you'd rather see him Eli Apple starting cornerback than Xavier Howard, right? That much
for
is
sure.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. And last year I didn't give the Dolphins a chance to go up to Buffalo and win, and they almost did. So it's a good point there.
Yeah, that's
which
the playoffs, right?
Which storyline are you maybe most looking forward to? Is it Tyreek returns to Kansas City, McCarthy's playing the Packers, the Stafford and Goff Detroit game, the Deshaun Watson Bowl with Houston and Cleveland? There are a number of really fun storylines. If this was the NCAA tournament, we would have said that the committee created these things.
No question about it. And, probably, the easy answer is the collective, right? Like all of them mashed together. But if I had to choose one of them, I think it's pretty clearly Jared Goff and the Lions playing host to the Rams. And, let's make sure that, we don't refer to this as a Matthew Stafford revenge game. This is Jared Goff's revenge, right? I mean, this is a guy who second in the NFL in passing yards, but feels like he's the forgotten man in that trade. And not that Lions fans would say that, but, at the time it was viewed as basically the Rams sent multiple first-round picks to the Lions, not just for Matthew Stafford, but also to take on the contract of Jared Goff that at the time was viewed as onerous. So Jared's played some really good football, and we can have a million conversations about whether he's the kind of quarterback that's good enough to win you a championship or not. But they got a lot of work to do, but they're one of 14 that has a chance to get there. And, they're, 3 wins away from playing in the Super Bowl. And I'm sure, it's going to be a tough test. And it's not like, Jared Goff is facing off against Sean McVay on the field, but I'm sure he would love nothing more than to show Sean this weekend, hey, I've got what it takes to be a quarterback you could win big with. And while there's going to be an incredible amount of reverence for Matthew Stafford in Detroit this Sunday night, you can also imagine just how riled up those fans will be, because it's been 30 years since they won a division, and as a result of that, have had minimal home playoff experience, has had no home playoff games since that time, I should say.
Visiting with Field Yates from ESPN. Okay, so we know that the Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, and Falcons and Commanders have openings right now. Do you have a sense of New England and what takes place with Belichick, and if there's a timeline one way or another?
Yeah, it's the reporting seems to suggest it's more likely than not that he's out. I think what I've kind of landed on, though, Jason, is that I'm probably just going to leave that one as like TBD until there's finality one way or the other, right? Obviously, it's a decision that should not be made lightly, regardless of who is making it, Bill Belichick or the Patriots organization. But to me, obviously parting ways with a guy who's won 6 Super Bowls is, that's obviously a very weighty decision. So don't have a great sense on it, to be honest with you. I think it could go either way at this point. Seems like if you were handicapping it in Vegas, leaning out is more likely than leaning in.
Are the Raiders open as a job, or is it formality that Antonio Pierce is the head coach?
Yeah, I don't know if it's formality. I think I've learned in the NFL that nothing's a formality during the coaching cycle until pen is to paper, and that's something that has been reminded in several different ways over the years. I think the big fish that we're all keeping our eyes on is just whether Jim Harbaugh decides to jump, whether Michigan wins tonight or not. I mean, until he has either made it abundantly clear he's returning to Michigan, or he has made it abundantly clear that he's going to pursue NFL jobs, I don't think you can rule him out. And there's been enough reporting already to link him to the Raiders that, Mark Davis, even if he thinks very highly of the job that, Antonio Pierce did this 8 or 9 game stretch, he's kind of shown that he's had the inability to resist the big fish. And other than if Bill Belichick became available, I don't know if there's any bigger fish than Jim Harbaugh in the coaching circles right now.
Yeah, I'm going and counting Harbaugh to the Chargers. just set my mind on I think he returns to the NFL. Yeah, I think this is the last game at Michigan, regardless of outcome, and he gets back to the NFL. I don't know where. I'd like it to be non-AFC West, but I'd like to be out there. Go to New England. Go do that. Go have some fun there. Yeah. All right, Chiefs in Miami. Dolphins, Chiefs. What do you think happens this weekend? If you have a score in mind.
I think the Chiefs win this one again. I just think, and obviously if the Dolphins are healthier than I realized, then it'll be a little bit of a tougher battle. But I think the Chiefs, I think the weather helps a lot. I think the playoff medal helps a lot. I think that rest yesterday helps a lot, Jason. Yeah. Even if, listen, it's not like the guys are going to be feeling 100%, right? I'm sure the veterans who have been hammering away since July probably feel like you'd expect them to feel. But one extra week to kind of feel good about yourself, I think is important. Get you a win as well, right? Not that the result matter, but it's always nice to get a win for some of those younger guys who probably aren't playing much of a role, and Blaine Gabbert to get a win, et cetera. I think the Chiefs find a way on Saturday night. Wouldn't surprise me if it's a low-scoring game. Call this one like 23-19 would not surprise me. But the Chiefs, they need their defense to be every bit as good as it's been all season, and no reason for me to think that they will not continue on their dominant ways based off of how well they perform, basically from week 1 all the way through week 18.
All right, we can adjust this as it goes, but right now, Super Bowl champion, who beats who in Vegas?
Man, I've been having some Bills 49ers premonitions over the past 24 hours.
Interesting.
I felt like getting that 2 seed was pretty important for Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the chalk, the low-hanging fruit is pretty easy too, right? Like, Ravens, 49ers. But I'll throw a little bit of a curveball. The Bills, 49ers in the Super Bowl, Las Vegas, about a month and a week from right now.
Yeah. Who you got winning, 49ers or Bills?
49ers. They just feel, they're just too well equipped right now. They're such a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses, and defensively, it's not like they're any slouches as well.
Yep, absolutely. Field Yates from ESPN, our NFL Insider Field. You're the man as always. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the playoffs, and we will talk next week, hopefully discussing the Chiefs' next matchup in the divisional round. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon, Jason.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
There's Field Yates, ESPN, NFL Insider does a great job there as we get set for Chiefs and Dolphins coming up Saturday night on Peacock. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling, talking some Chiefs. There's some college football going on tonight, I've been told. Big national championship game. We could talk some college basketball as well with conference play getting underway over the weekend. And then Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock. Some Learn Funniest Best we'll get into with Mick. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. Mick Schaefer joins us at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Let's hear from Andy Reid. He did not have a press conference today. He will, everything's being moved up a day, so skipping a Monday press conference because they play on a Saturday. So tomorrow we will hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, and then on Wednesday we'll have the coordinators. Thursday, Andy Reid yet again, and we'll see which other players they may put at the podium. It's playoff time, so the NFL may have more of a say in, probably some more players available there at the podium. We'll find out as it rolls along. We'll also find out as the days roll along because there will be a practice report tomorrow. First practice reports don't typically come out till Wednesday on a regular week, but with them playing on Saturday, we'll know tomorrow what the Miami Dolphins start to look like with their injuries and if how many guys did not practice or limited or full participant, etc. Because, again, they lost a couple of other players in the game yesterday on defense, and they are already down to second and third string guys in a lot of different places. And they lost Van Ginkel and also Cameron Good in the same game yet again on a defense that's already lost Jalen Phillips, and it's already lost Bradley Chubb, and you had Xavier Howard that's been dealing with an injury. So they've got some issues, and offensively, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert didn't play, and offensive line issues there. So they've got issues all over the board.
Barring something I'm not thinking of right now, the Dolphins' starting defensive ends next week will be a combined 64 years old.
Agba and Ingram?
Agba and Ingram. Agba's around 30, and Melvin Ingram's an even rounder 34.
Melvin Ingram running out there looked like he had put on some weight.
Yeah. Look, Thanksgiving and Christmas, when did he get signed? Early December?
I don't think they signed Melvin Ingram thinking that he was going to be anything more than just a pass rush specialist from time to time, not, hey, dude, you're playing every down. You are a 3-down defensive end, Melvin Ingram. And that's what they're faced with right now. And
he signed to the practice squad on December 12th.
And, again, watching him play, he did not look like, what Melvin Ingram typically looks like running around on the field. I'll just say that. He looks better than me running out on the field. But what I remember Melvin Ingram looking like with the Chargers and even with the Chiefs, that wasn't necessarily what he looked like. But we'll see. Maybe he'll be in even better shape this weekend after playing that. But they are going to be relying on some guys that were not supposed to be full-time guys. And we'll see. And that certainly goes in the Chiefs' favor. Here's Andy Reid on Kelsey did not play. He needed 16 yards to get to 1,000. Travis Kelsey did not play in the game. And here's Andy Reid weighing in on that decision, how it came about for Kelsey sitting.
Travis he is a humble guy. And so it's different because of the financial part of it with Chris. He didn't want to be selfish or come across as selfish. I mean, all the players want him to play, but he just goes, you know what? I don't like the way it feels. He's not into that. And so he chose not to play. And I completely understand it. But that's him. I mean, most guys would have gone out and probably done it, but he said, I've got a lot of records. This one here, I'm not going to do it this way.
And he already has the record, in fairness, with that. I mean, Greg Olson's 3 consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards receiving, and Travis Kelsey with 7 consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards receiving. So interesting that he didn't want to make it feel like he was selfish for him. And then Andy Reid also differentiating between the monetary incentive for Chris Jones as opposed to just getting yards, as that would be a personal statistic. Andy Reid then weighed in on Chris Jones' pursuit of 10 sacks.
Yeah, well, you could see by the response of the players that it meant a bunch. Not only to him, but to the guys. They were all on board pulling for him. And that's kind of the neat thing about that. So, but, yeah, that's a couple of cheeseburgers right there that he made. So,
what went into your decision to allow him to play until he got that sack?
Yeah, well, first of all, he wanted the opportunity, so gave him the opportunity. Started off with third downs, and as it went on, he played a couple first and second downs, but he wanted to get that done.
And he did. Got it done in the third quarter, thankfully. Played a little bit longer than I think everybody would have hoped. I think Chris Jones played longer than he would have hoped. I think all of the coaching staff, he played longer than he would have hoped. I think maybe some of the defensive linemen players, Chris Jones probably played longer than they would have hoped, that they could have got a few more sacks, and him playing 55% of the snaps and 48 snaps that were added to his body in that game against the Chargers, but wanting to get that incentive of $1.25 million that he'll be sharing a little bit of that with the other defensive linemen in the room. I don't know, maybe sharing a little bit of that with Easton Stick. I still hold that, if Easton Stick was going to get some sort of present, he should have done that in the first quarter.
Matt said this on postgame. If Easton Stick takes a dive in the first quarter, the Chargers might win that game. Chris Jones was legitimately destroying that Chargers offense. Yeah. Just slide, give him a half sack, maybe a full one if you need it, and get him out of there. Now you're going up against Matt Dickerson instead of Chris Jones. You're welcome.
The offensive line might have been smart to come together and go, hey guys, let's do this play. Look, it's going to be first down. I'm going to let him go. We'll lose like 3 yards, 4 yards, okay? It doesn't have to be, some crazy 15-yard loss. 3 or 4 yards, and then we lose that battle for a better chance of winning the war. Let's just be smart about this. Instead, they were Chargers out there doing the Charger thing. And they'll end up chargering it up in the draft again somehow. We'll see what they end up doing. But, yeah, it would have been nice to have him get out a little bit earlier. But that's why a lot of the players love playing for Andy Reid is, okay, we'll go out there, get one more.
And
Disaster averted, though, because he did not get injured.
And you hear in him talking about Kelsey, the team wants these guys to get the accomplishments they care about. I'm guessing that once Travis Kelsey went, no, I'm not playing, I'm guessing everybody laid off. I'm guessing no one was like, come on, why didn't you play, you little baby? Like, go get your 1,000 yards again. But
if they have called him a baby,
I don't believe they would have.
Okay, I don't know.
But when Travis Kelsey is in that spot of the guys, like, hey, no man, go get your other 1,000, like make it 8 straight. I think it says, Andy Reid mentions that Kelsey felt like it would have been selfish, which I do not think is him saying that Chris Jones was being selfish by being out there. I think it's really what Travis Kelsey was viewing it as. And in Kelsey's eyes, viewing it as another individual record when he has a lot of those, I do think is pretty telling to who Kelsey is, what he cares about, and, as you mentioned, the fact this record already probably isn't going to get broken. I mean, the game changes enough that there's always a chance, but we thought for a second, like, well, if anyone's going to break this record, maybe Kyle Pitts starts from the beginning, and it's not happening. Kyle Pitts is not on that track right now, and he would have been the type of guy. Well, maybe Dalton Kincaid. If he gets 3, it would be an incredible accomplishment. And so all of that to say, I understand why Kelsey let it go. I think more than anything else, it's what Reid said about it not feeling right to Travis Kelsey. It bums me out because he would have done it in 16 games because he didn't play in week 1.
Yeah.
It bums me out because it would not have been the Michael Strahan sack, to get the record or whatever, like we're talking about Easton Stick doing for Chris Jones. It wouldn't have been an asterisk or a tainted record or anything like that. We would have all forgotten the circumstances basically immediately. But I believe that Travis Kelce said, I'm going to go suit up out there to go catch one 17-yard pass, ideally, and then get out of there and then watch in my shoulder pads on the sidelines. It doesn't feel right. And this streak's going to end eventually. And right now, I think if you set the over-under for next year for Travis Kelce at 998 receiving yards, I think most of us would probably take the under and say, yeah, now we're talking about 900-yard seasons and 800-yard seasons and how much longer Kelce wants to play altogether. But it's frustrating for the reasons we talked about on Friday. Kelce dropped some passes. Kadarius Toney was lined up off sides and took the yardage away that would have got him over it. He had 88 total yards receiving in his last 3 games. He was the only target defenses had to plan for almost the entire season. And then Rashee Rice took a little bit of that focus. And still, it's about stopping Travis Kelce. That is, to me, what makes a 984-yard season still feel like a letdown. Because all of those factors went wrong. That all slanted wrong. He started the year hurt and finally had bad injury luck for the first time since his rookie season. None of it will matter if they win the Super Bowl. None of us will care. It was 984. If he would have gotten 1,000 yards, then had his knee caved in at yard 17, none of us would have cared about 1,000 yards.
No.
So the way they got here, I understand completely. It is still sort of frustrating, which is fitting for what this season has been. It feels like he has been the collateral damage of the things that went wrong this season.
And I think it is also appropriate for what has been going on this year with the Chiefs.
It's perfect.
In that, he doesn't get to 1,000 yards, but also no player got to 1,000 yards, rushing or receiving, this year for this offense. And that's a little bit of, you're going to have to spread it around, and Pacheco injuries happened during the course of the season. But as we talk about like tight ends and breaking the records, and it was a good point about like, okay, Dalton Kincaid, if he has is he going to get to 7 or 8 to break Travis Kelce's record? Do you know who led the league in receiving yards for a tight end this year?
I bet it's Travis Kelce.
Close.
Is it not Travis Kelce?
Not Travis
Did somebody
Kelce.
break 1,000?
One person broke 1,000.
Oh, hold on then. Oh, Laporta.
Nope.
Really? He didn't do it
Laporta
either?
Didn't get to 1,000. Nope.
I mean, obviously Mark Andrews missed a lot of time. I don't think Kittle got 1,000.
Why don't you think that?
It seemed, honestly, because other guys on that team ended up being kind of the focal point of most of that conversation. Did Kittle mess around and get 1,000 yards? He was healthy this year.
Kittle got 1,020 yards.
Wow,
So the
okay.
leader of tight ends was 36 yards more than Travis Kelce's really down year.
Yeah. Yep.
Kelce played 15 games. Kittle played 16. An extra game. Well, if Kelce played an extra game, does he get 40? Does he lead the all tight ends in receiving yards? Yeah, this was a really down year for Travis Kelce. He had 984 yards and 5 touchdowns and 93 receptions. George Kittle had 65 receptions, 1,020 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Like, yeah, that's what we're talking about with Travis Kelce, that even in the really down year, he had the second most receptions of all tight ends and the second most yards of all tight ends.
And George Kittle is great.
Yes.
He is stupendous.
And he's such a good blocker.
I love George Kittle. He played 16 games this year, 15 last year, 14 the year before that. It was really 2020
So
when
he's
he only
playing
played 8
17
games.
next year.
Yeah, we're counting in the right
Yes.
direction. This is his first 1,000-yard season since 2019. He got 2 in a row, 18-19, and then got hurt in 20. And again, he played in 21 and 22, 910 and 765. 1,000-yard seasons for tight ends aren't.
It's tough.
It's not a thing that just happens. Rookie wide receivers will break 1,000 yards. Rashee Rice almost did it without it ever being the Chiefs' plan for that to be the way that his rookie season went. Receivers end up falling over 1,000 yards because sometimes it's how your team pans out and how the league works now. Tight ends don't trip and fall their way into consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Again, because literally only Greg Olsen has 3. Everyone else is stuck at 2.
Yep.
And then there's Travis Kelce with 7.
He's Kelce's third in reception. Sorry, I skipped right over T.J. Hawkinson, who had 95 receptions for Hawkinson, 93 for Travis Kelce.
Do you have Hawkinson's yardage?
Hawkinson ended up with 960 in playing 15 games as well. Hawkinson's dealt with injuries and obviously, lost for the year with that injury. Evan Ingram led all tight ends with 114 receptions this year for 963 yards. So he was a volume guy, was Evan Ingram, but many 17 more receptions than Travis Kelce, but still 21 fewer yards for Evan Ingram. So I mean, Kelce was 7 receptions and 16 yards from another 100-catch, 1,000-yard season.
And what option number would Rashee Rice be on the Jets or Niners? Or not Jets, excuse me. On the
Jags?
The Jags or Niners, and maybe even the Vikings. What number of weapon is Rashee Rice? And then the next question is, what next Chiefs player makes the roster? And the answer, I think, is no one.
I mean, Rashee Rice would be third, probably. I mean, are we talking about a healthy Calvin Ridley or a healthy Christian Kirk?
Sure, for the sake of like team construction, even starting the year, yeah.
Kirk, Ridley, Ingram,
and then Rashee
Rice thrown in there, better than Zay Jones.
And Rashee Rice, this is no. I like Rashee Rice. He would have a hard time getting snaps in San Francisco. Like he would be a role player. He would be a kick-ass role player, but he would be a role player in an offense that's just absolutely humming.
They've got
Travis Kelce was doing this as the guy.
They got 3 legit weapons there in San Francisco. So the whole well, if somebody breaks that, we'll see. Somebody's got to get to 4.
Yeah, that's right.
Ever. And George Kittle got to 2 and then got injured. Like, injuries happen. Hawkinson got injured. That's why he didn't get to 1,000 yards. Laporta was a touchdown machine, but he still ended up, 100 and some odd yards away from 1,000.
And so with the math we have done here, currently the longest active tight end 1,000-yard streak is George Kittle with 1.
Great call.
That's where we're at right now. I had to
call.
think, does anyone have 2 in a row? No,
obviously
dummy,
not.
because George Kittle just did it. He's the only one that crossed 1,000, and he hadn't done it the year before.
Here is Andy Reid weighing in on what I believe one of the interesting developments from the game yesterday, and something that I really wanted to see happen. Last week we were talking about it. I wanted Mecole Hardman to play the entire game and get every single snap that would go to MVS in a game and run those routes and just get ready to be the MVS of this offense moving forward and get him healthy and back in the flow of the offense and in rhythm. Here's Andy Reid on Mecole Hardman's game yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job out there. A couple things he can work on, but he played hard, and it was a good experience for him to get out there, just kind of getting back into that football shape, play after play after play. So, and we'll see where it goes from there. But we know Mecole, we know what he can do, and so I just think the getting out and playing was the biggest thing for him. He hadn't had a chance to do that.
I should not be as enthusiastic and excited as I am about the prospect of Mecole Hardman playing more football and what that would mean for the Chiefs in a positive aspect for their offense. And I'm just talking about, again, playing for MVS and offering that extra threat on the field. MVS is not a threat on the field. They are not throwing to him.
Not to the other team.
That's a good point. MVS is not a threat to the other team on the field. He is a threat to balls that are in the air, not to the other team. To the Chiefs. But when MVS is running routes, what is he offering you? Like, honestly, we're talking about who the two weapons are for the Chiefs and the targets. It's Kelsey and Rashee Rice. Who's number 3? Isaiah Pacheco.
Yep. Oh, easy.
That's your third receiving target right now. That's the guy. After that, then who? I don't know. Throw him into a hat and draw somebody out and make a case. It's Richie James. All right, I'll make a case why it's Richie James. It's Justin Watson. Okay, I'll make a case why it's Justin Watson. Draw a name out. MVS. Throw it back in. Draw another name out. Noah Gray. I'll make a case why it's Noah Gray. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Whatever. I can make some different cases. But if Mecole Hardman is out there, I mean, he was catching the ball, and I know that he dropped one that was thrown his way. And he had the hand fighting and stepped out of bounds and then came back in and then made the catch. Got both feet in bounds.
It was a good play, except for the part that was a bad play. I'm willing to that's just a little footnote.
Out of bounds. But you know what? Baby steps.
Yes.
In that he caught the football.
The contested catch stuff is huge. We haven't seen that all year.
Football over the middle. I mean, he's right there. That could be an interception or an incomplete, and that was a reception. How many times have we seen this year a 50-50, like, oh my goodness, that could have been an interception or a completion, and somehow the Chiefs player ended up with it? I remember one, that was yesterday with Mecole Hardman, just because it's the most recent one. But if I sat here and tried to rack my brain of like, oh man, I'd have to really go back and look and think and watch film and condensed games to see if there's one that was like, oh yeah, that's right, that one 50-50 ball. Justin Watson had one. A deeper pass. I can't remember who that was against, but he went up over the guy and caught it. That was a big third down conversion, so that was a great play there. And it helped him in whatever game. I don't know if they won it or not, but it helped him certainly in that game. That's one that comes to mind.
Was that his penthouse up and over?
Yep.
They must have won that game because he was doing the penthouse thing after.
Absolutely. He mossed somebody. But the fact that it's like, I don't really remember guys that were attacking the ball and winning contested catches. And even Mecole Hardman doing that. Like, one of the storylines from yesterday should be that MVS, if he sees the field, it's in Mecole Hardman's role of 10 to 12 snaps, and Mecole Hardman is playing the MVS snaps. Or Justin Watson is playing the MVS snaps, and Mecole Hardman's playing the Justin Watson snaps. I don't care.
Yep.
I need there to be the Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Mecole Hardman, and Justin Watson. And then throw in Richie James, from time to time and get him out there. I think there will be a heavy dose of Pacheco and the run game against the Dolphins because of how beat up that defensive line and linebacking core is. But then if they've got to bring extra guys down like they were doing against the Bills, they were blitzing a lot to try to get pressure on Josh Allen, well, then somebody's got to make them pay. And MVS is not making anybody pay, not making the other team pay right now. So I love the development that we got from in that game from Mecole Hardman doing what he did.
I'm doing something I don't enjoy. I don't feel good about as a football watcher. Right, sorry. I'm doing something I don't like about myself now as a football watcher. Where like anytime a receiver for another team makes a play, I'm immediately like I want to get to their spot track page and just like see if the Chiefs could have had them. When did they get drafted? If the Chiefs had them 4 years ago, like what would it really have taken to have found X, Y, or Z? Anytime a receiver makes a play, I get lustful and think, what if that guy was on the Chiefs? Like how much better would this offense be? Because anything would feel like you had opened up a new portion of the playbook. Like, oh my God, a professional receiver. How many receivers on this team, just in the aggregate of the year, how many wide receivers on this team made Patrick Mahomes' life easier? It's one.
Rashee Rice.
It's just Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
And Rashee Rice has had some rookie mistakes that I'm sure have brought a gray hair to Patrick Mahomes' scalp a little quicker. But that's the only answer. The best of other guys has been neutral. I mean, you have a play here from somebody, Justin Watson maybe, and then he's still not bailing Mahomes out. That's what I see when I'm looking at other teams right now. I'm like, oh man, this receiver made a play and made his quarterback right, whatever it was. If Mecole Hardman can do that a couple times and not make any back-breaking mistakes, he is the second most valuable weapon in this, or the third most valuable pass-catching weapon and the second receiver on this team right now.
Yep.
And I think it's a great point. Run the ball. Make the Dolphins come up and respect the run. Run your two tight end sets and get Kelsey and Noah Gray out there together more often. Make them feel that. And now, Mecole Hardman's a legitimate threat in some deep overs. Kelsey can work in some zones again, and you're actually, tell me if this sounds like a long-lost memory, testing all areas of the field, making the Dolphins defend that entire giant patch of grass. Because your quarterback's arm can always get the ball there. But will there be anyone there, and will they catch it when the ball arrives? That's, of course, been the uncertain part of this entire interaction.
There's a big advantage for the Chiefs in this game. We'll see if they can maximize that. I think they will. I am pretty confident about this game. I do know that anything can happen, and we've seen the Chiefs this year, but I think the circumstances surrounding how the Chiefs are entering this game by resting some guys and having as much fun on the sideline as we have seen, and a locker room that was loving life after the game yesterday, and we can play a clip with Mick Schaefer of sound from the locker room that the Chiefs put out, and what was going on with the Miami Dolphins postgame, and then knowing they're getting on a plane to go play in 0-degree temperature, where if they won that game, they'd be sitting at home playing in temperature that at kickoff in Miami at 1 o'clock Eastern time is 78 degrees on Sunday afternoon. And instead, kickoff is going to be 5 degrees in Kansas City with feels like of -8. I mean, is that going to get you rolling this week? You're 2-3 down the stretch. You got blown out by the Ravens. You had a 14-7 lead on Buffalo. You felt like you probably should have had a bigger lead. All of a sudden, you lose Cameron Good to a blown knee on a punt return, in which him blowing his knee is what opened up the lane for Hardy to, score on the punt return. Yep. And then you've lost him. You lose Van Ginkel, who left in the third quarter, and. There's some things. I just think the feel and probably the energy surrounding both teams heading into this game is a big difference. I felt that too before the Raiders game.
Yeah, fair. Good point.
But then I can say, well, it's Christmas, and so I will offer that up as like my commentary about the Raiders that week was sort of the same thing. And I will tell you this. Tua Tagovailoa does not complete a pass after the first quarter, the Chiefs will win on Saturday night. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. and boy, what a lovely couple they looked like.
Natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, joining us here in the zone for the hour. We got Learn Funniest Best coming up in the second segment. Mick, what's up? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Couldn't be happier.
Can I give you? Can you download Peacock for me? I'm gonna just give you my phone. We just download. I don't actually have my phone actually. Can you download Peacock?
It's $99 per week.
Hey, Mick's phone. Download Peacock for me.
Can we get the official word, because I still don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is Peacock only across the country, but it's shown locally in Germany because that was where they were. Or is it locally here?
Yeah, you've asked me now in person on Twitter, on Facebook. I told you to DM me on Pinterest as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I was going to do a Friendster.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go along with your bit that I knew was coming here. Okay,
What bit?
because
what bit?
People don't always believe stuff when I'm being sarcastic, or they do believe it, and this has just been a nightmare, bombardment, emails, tweets, and everything. The game will also be on KSHB.
Okay, so we've got that figured out.
Right.
All right.
Is that 41?
It is 41.
I just
it's
put that in.
only locally here.
I really wish.
If you live in Topeka and you get KSNT, your NBC station, they won't have it. If you live in Wichita and you get KSNW, you will not be able to see it on NBC. If you live in, KOMU in Columbia, all the NBCs, no, just KSHB. There are only 2 stations in the world, terrestrial television stations, that will air it: the NBC in Miami and the NBC in Kansas City.
What about in Wichita?
Omaha?
Are you changing the play?
It's weird. Pierce, South Dakota will air it.
That's odd. I mean, I feel like that could have been alleviated like last night or something, just like a tweet or something. But, that's fine. We can do it here. Break the news.
Scenario. Listen, I don't know if I'm like stepping out of bounds here, but I don't. The Peacock didn't pay me. This is bad idea, Jeans.
Couldn't
right?
resist.
And we knew it was coming, right? It came out in May that they're going to do for the first time ever, a playoff game. And we were just yesterday, I was talking with Nick Jacobs, and we were both like, no way they're going to make people go pay to find Patrick Mahomes. But then on the other side, it's like, all right, if anybody's ever going to pay for a game, it's going to be to see the Chiefs.
But it's also the Swifties. Taylor Swift's going to be there, so I'll sign up for Peacock for the month just so I can see Taylor Swift there.
I don't even know. Can you do a free subscription and then dump it?
You can cancel anytime.
Do you have to pay anything?
I mean, if they have some sort of a special of a 7-day preview or something like that.
Probably don't. I'm guessing for this
I thought
game, the biggest thing ever on their.
I thought the Chiefs were going to get Peacock or Monday Night Football because of the Chiefs and Taylor Swift.
I thought the Chiefs were going to get anything on NBC. There was a 1 in 2 chance, right? It was 50-50. The only reason is just this is how things go for me.
Yeah, and so you'll be out there at the game, out at the stadium Saturday night.
That's the plan.
Good for you.
It's going to be like I mentioned to Mike Nico, our chief meteorologist, last night. I'm like, are you kidding me? 0 degrees? He's like, 0. That'll be worse than that. I'm like, oh God.
0 degrees. Let's hope it gets up to 0.
By the time the game ends at 10:30. Yeah, look at a little dash in front of that number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that, they give us a lot of gear, but I don't know if we have coats heavy enough, for me especially, to withstand like an hour-long pregame show out there, and which would be, I believe, at like 1 o'clock. We're still working through all the logistics because the NBC game, NBC has the game before the Browns.
And that's going to be on 41.
That'll be on 41 as well. That's at 3:30.
That'll be on everybody's NBC across the country?
Is that on Peacock?
Yes.
Just locally.
I'm going to get Peacock. Is that going to? Can I watch you on Peacock?
But I love you. I love you so much. All right,
you.
we're done. We're done with the bit. Go ahead.
I haven't slammed the mayor last night.
Oh no!
I saw his tweet. I did not see your response.
Lucas, I'm like, these random fans just all up.
Oh, that's great. That is great. So you'll be out there, and it'll be on NBC.
The game will be on 41. If you can hear this terrestrially.
I do feel bad for all the, Chiefs fans out in western Missouri, eastern other parts of Kansas, western Kansas, eastern Missouri, and all over the Chiefs kingdom that they're going to have to find it on streaming. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt. I don't know how much the Thursday night games got fans ready for this because the Chiefs didn't have one on Peacock, correct?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Amazon.
It was, streaming. Amazon. They had the one? No. With the Lions game, there was another Thursday night game, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Correct.
It was,
but that was also aired by KSHB.
Yeah, it was a local game. But that would have been nationally, though. People would have had to get Amazon Prime to be able to watch that. In the same situation they're doing with Peacock. I just feel like the cord has been cut for so long, and we've seen a number of these games go to ESPN Plus to get more subscribers, Amazon Prime to get more subscribers, whether it's Peacock or whatever. Like I know it's unfortunate for people that want to watch the game outside of the local markets if they don't have Peacock to sign up for that. But that is the business of why they're putting this game on Peacock. And I also think, and it's not a victory lap like the Katz brothers, but, I tried to say for a long time when everybody was, leading the rally for cord cutting, and it was like, we should go a la carte. Like, why am I paying 75 cents a month for this and 75 cents a month? I don't ever watch that. Okay. So when you go a la carte, they're going to start charging whatever they want to charge. And wait till you get there. And then they start, splintering off in different games here and different games there. So now you got to have this subscription and that subscription and that subscription while also being able to have your local, channels as well. Okay, you guys that want to cut the cord. And I think there are a lot of people that would be like, can we go back to just where it was all streamlined, where everything was right there in like one provider or something like that? And it was just everything was just right there. No, you can't because you bitched and complained about Lifetime Movie Network being on your cable subscription, or other people complained that they were paying $4 for ESPN, as part of their $44 package to watch, 150 different channels. Regardless, it's going to be on Peacock. Well, and locally here.
And now the problem is you can't just have one way. You can't go back and just, I want to do AT&T. I'll pay $200 and some a month, whatever. You'll miss out on stuff.
Right,
There's not going to be these Peacock or Amazon games and all that. And so now that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And so,
not anybody cared about Royals baseball this year at times, but they played on Apple on Friday nights. They were Apple. The only way that some people could watch them was
how about
Friday
sporting?
night.
Yes. And look, I think too.
Having Peacock with
they lit this candle, I believe, all across the board a little too early, and maybe no matter when they started the streaming boom, when they forced it upon the viewers, maybe it was always going to be this way. But that Amazon deal hasn't been great for the NFL. And I know for a lot of people, even sporting fans, they were out of sight, out of mind this year, right? When they're playing on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Hey, so speaking of, how about this for a little fun connection of Arrowhead and sporting? Just about less than 10 minutes ago, the Inter-Miami game against Sporting Kansas City on April 13th will be at Arrowhead Stadium. I did not see that until it happened about as Mick was walking in here, I guess. But Daniel Sperry looks like he may have had it first here over on the Star. So he says the Dolphins won't be the only Miami team to play at Arrowhead in 2024, as Sporting will move the April 13th match against Inter-Miami from Children's Mercy Park to Arrowhead. It's the first match for the club there since 2010 and the first MLS match there since 2007.
Now, that will be aired locally on that game, or that will just be
that I have not
only?
clarified yet.
Okay,
That's kind of cool.
Have to figure that one out. Mick, what do you take away from the game yesterday? Do you have many takeaways at all, or just sort of the view of playoffs are here and it's the Miami Dolphins and already moving on to that?
I'm trying to. I don't have a whole. I was surprised that Travis didn't play, but hearing the explanation at the end, I'm like, oh, I get that. And I'm all for Chris Jones playing. I'm all for guys wanting to play football games, even whatever the incentive is, right? Yeah. I don't like when guys skip bowl games, so I can't go and say, well, Chris Jones shouldn't have done that for money, right? I mean, go play. I love it when you go play, but I also love Kelsey's excuse of just didn't feel right. Just didn't feel.
I love healthy guys heading into the postseason. That's what I love.
Yeah, I think there's always a balance there, right? To where, yes, you want healthy, especially your superstars, right? But then you maybe live in your fears too much, right? And you can. I don't think it. I mean, there's at this point they've been playing for 18 straight weeks. I don't think sitting a week creates any sort of rust, right?
I agree
at all. It is almost all a benefit. But I like milestones and numbers and streaks and everything. I wanted that thing to continue until his career ended, and it really should have, honestly. 88 yards in his last 3 games, kind of limped down the stretch, and it would have just taken. We heard from Blaine Gabbert how important it was to him. It would have taken maybe just a series, and he would have gotten there.
And look, I mean, it's 1,000 yards. If you got there, cool. If you didn't get there, I'm just glad that, you know what, he has a mini bye week. The mental game planning and everything throughout the week. His body is old and old for, you know, football terms. But, you know, he has the knee injury right before the season starts. He's got the ankle sprain against the Minnesota Vikings. And he's been dealing with some injuries throughout the season. He's been dealing with some
it's going to be -5 in the game on Saturday.
And that's one of the things that I think, you know, is certainly an advantage for the Chiefs, the weather, because you know, the Dolphins are the team dealing with injuries and guys that could maybe play, not like the guys that are out. Like
I would
Bradley
like
Chubb
to
and Jalen
see an
Phillips.
upright Chiefs offensive tackle. Just that'd be
I
nice.
would do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Maybe his name's Joe Tooney. We'll find out.
I know, right?
But in negative degree temperature, I think a high ankle sprain and then a knee injury for Raheem Mostert might be more difficult to work their way through when those things start to tighten up and try to keep that thing warm throughout the game. You know, we'll see. And that we're talking about a running back and a wide receiver whose speed and shiftiness are, you know, what makes them great. So yeah, the advantage definitely is on the Chiefs side, even with some issues there on the offensive line, because the Miami Dolphins have massive issues on their offensive line. Yeah. And defensively, they lost 2 more guys.
Well, they haven't been good to begin with, and they lost 2 more guys. No, I like the matchup. I would have rather seen Pittsburgh come to town.
I wanted to see Pittsburgh and then go to Miami. Like, I wanted to play Pittsburgh, then go to Miami because I like the matchup with Miami.
Well, I kind of liked the scenario of Buffalo then coming to Kansas City after they beat Miami, because I thought that would have been a real possibility there. But it is what it is, and now they're coming here. And what is it? They've lost their last 10 games in sub 40 degree temperature, and this is going to be, I mean, sub. And so it's funny in that, like, they play in the AFC East, right? They play all Northeast teams. They're definitely used to playing in cold weather.
Yeah.
But A, I don't know about this cold, and B, they're not used to winning those games, right? They'll play in those games. They just don't win in them. And this has been a team that has been far inferior to its home self when it's played away from home. And we saw that they were just a regular team in Germany. I was at that game, and it's proven out to be on the road this year how much they've struggled. Now you look at the Chiefs' home record, it's like, maybe you like this team on the road.
Lost 4 games at Arrowhead this year. Lost 3 in a row. I know that I said sort of the mindset, the mental part of it going into the Christmas Day game against the Raiders, that it's like, well, you got one team that's got a new head coach and maybe playing out the string. The other team is going to, you know, has a chance to get the 2 seed and, you know, win the maybe even the 1 seed available as well and win the division. And, you know, the Raiders aren't going to want to be in Kansas City on Christmas Day, blah, blah. One team definitely didn't want to be there that day, and that was the Chiefs. So definitely wrong on that. I doubled down this week in that the Chiefs looked as having as much fun on the sideline of a football game as they've had in a long time. I know it didn't matter. The locker room after the game, and we can play this clip here, was certainly jovial and excited. They're playing at home. The weather is terrible. And the Miami Dolphins are 2-3 down the stretch. They got blown out by the Ravens. They got beat at home. They have lost player after player. And they went from having the 2 seed and playing a game at home that kicks off in 78-degree weather.
Yeah.
1 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday is 78 degrees in Miami. And they're now going on the road for 3 straight weeks if they want to go to the Super Bowl. And they're going to start on a short rest. You know, Chiefs have short rest too, so it's not like Chiefs have extra days. But short week in negative temperature.
And if they win that, they would, you know, likely have to go to Buffalo and then Baltimore after that.
Yeah,
There's
well,
only 2.
If they win that, they're probably going to go to Baltimore as the 6th seed.
They would be the lowest.
Unless
that's
Pittsburgh.
right.
So they would have to then go to Baltimore, then probably Buffalo for them to.
Well, there's 2 warm weather climates in the AFC playoffs basically this year. One's got a dome in Houston, and the other is Miami. But Miami's the 6th seed and not going to get a home game.
Right, and so I don't know what the mindset's going to be. I know it's playoffs, so it's like, oh, they're not going to come in, you know, just going through the motions. But the Chiefs, I think it's easy today for them to get excited and get ready to go play football. And the Dolphins, how quickly do they turn around from we just lost the division and home field advantage, and now we're going on the road. Now we're changing our plans. Oh, my God, did you see the weather, what it's going to be this weekend? Okay, let's get ready for the Chiefs. Probably an advantage that they already played this team this year, so they've had some sort of a game plan and things like that. But I think mentally the Chiefs have that advantage as well.
They
doesn't
do.
Doesn't mean they'll win. But
and
I
you
think
hope that this is kind of the second win for the Chiefs, a team that won the Super Bowl last year, that is so used to getting to Super Bowls that basically partied like they won 2 Super Bowls because they didn't get to the first time around because it was COVID during the offseason, and they kind of had this 18-week hangover, right, to where now they're back and they're ready to go, and they realize, okay, this is what it's all about. We have put ourselves in not the best position, but a good position to get back to the Super Bowl, and this is us. We are coming together. We have this rejuvenated energy, and it's going to transpire into game plans and all that stuff on the field. And you just hope that's the case. I know we've hoped that, after the bye week or heading into December when they took a couple, losses on the chin. You're like, okay, now is when they really get ready. But this is the last chance, right, to see this team, kind of the 2023 team, reinvent itself in the playoffs. And I think if there's any team out there that could, it's obviously the Chiefs that has this track record. I mean, I was looking at the playoff records of the 14 quarterbacks in the playoffs this year. A lot haven't played a postseason game. Most are under 500. There's one really good one. The second best record. What quarterback is the second best record, do you think, in the playoffs?
That's
of the
in
14?
the playoffs right now.
Yes.
The 14 teams.
Percentage-wise and win-wise. It's, of course, Mahomes at 11-3, which is ridiculous.
Joe Flacco?
It's Joe Flacco
Yes.
at 10-5. He's 10-5. That
Elite.
is outstanding. That's an outstanding playoff record. Of course, the biggest deal with your playoff record is it's how many postseasons have you made? How many losses have you? And how big's that gap?
That's exactly
Mahomes got a big one because he's got a 2. It's 5-3. It's a big gap there.
Well, and Flacco had the stretch of
He's got a one game gap there.
Yeah, 11 touchdowns and no interceptions when they won the Super Bowl. He went 11-0. So I do wonder, if you looked at that with touchdown to interception ratio for these quarterbacks, he's probably got a pretty decent.
That was 3 wins, right? They didn't play 4 games that year. I think they were.
Did they get a bye in the first round?
I think they did. And of course, that was back when 2 teams got buys. But that's just 3 wins. He's got 7 other postseason wins.
Pretty good.
That's elite, really, is what I would say.
Absolutely elite. Unquestionably
I don't
elite.
know. There's going to be a debate someday about whether or not he's elite.
We thought the debate was over, but it's
not. It is.
I think back up.
Back again. And we'll see if Pittsburgh.
Now it is over. He's elite.
He's elite.
Yeah,
Nobody,
come on,
but nobody's close to those 2 records. And then Tua for all the games he's won in the regular season, making his postseason debut.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
He'll play. He'll finally play as many games in the postseason as Skylar Thompson on Saturday once the game starts.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's true.
And hopefully he has the same record as Skylar Thompson does in the playoffs after the game is over.
Skylar's still the number 3 there?
Yeah. They got Mike White at second man up.
The Bills, that line has moved to 9.5.
Wow.
Woof.
So the Bills 9.5-point favorites over the Steelers.
And it's only 1.5 in favor of the Chiefs?
3.5.
Started open at 1.5 and was there for about a minute and a half.
Yeah, I would have. I would help that one, I think.
Jumped to
get
3,
up to that point.
then went to 3.5. It also opened with a total of 47.5.
Under.
And then I tweeted that out after placing a little cash on the under.
Smart.
Then it went quickly from 47.5 to 46. It went down to 42.5 this morning. It's now at 44. It's jumped 1.5 since this morning, but it dropped 5 points. It went from 47.5 last night to 42.5 this morning, and now it's gone up to 44. That's interesting. Again, I'll probably take the under on that. With the Chiefs offense that continues to struggle, I think they're going to pound the rock and a little run game activity along with that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Let's get some Learn Funniest Best coming up on the other side of the break. Mick Schaefer, KSHP 41, hanging out with us here on this Monday edition, Victory Monday edition at Sports Radio 810 WHB. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. They will have the game for you coming up on Saturday night, Chiefs. Let's do a little Learn Funniest Best here. It's presented by Pyramid Roofing. For a free estimate, 816-966-1101 or pyramidroofingkc.com. Did you not realize it was Learn
I
Funniest
always
Best?
forget two things. Learn Funniest Best, and there's a camera on us.
Dylan, will you just start playing less interesting musical beds when Mick is here? Because every time it just turns into a little jam session. I think it's good for us.
Jam show?
Look at Jam Shash.
Jam Shash.
A little Jam Shash.
Little sesh. Little sesh. Little seshy. Little seshy.
Shesh.
You guys were having a little seshy there. Little seshy. Little sesh.
Just jamming around.
All right, so we get to Learn Funniest Best, what we learned from the weekend, funniest from the weekend, best from the weekend. What I learned is that Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints really embrace the rivalry with the Atlanta Falcons. That's one way to put it. Arthur Smith was upset that he ended up getting fired, and he was not happy about the fact that blah, 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 blah. So what was really interesting is that they actually have audio from the huddle.
No way.
With Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints, and going from victory formation to scoring the touchdown. So they finally released the audio, and here's what it sounded like in the huddle with Jameis Winston on that final play.
Listen up. Victory formation. Cue protect. What the hell with Divine, Billy? As long as the offense is out here, Rudy can't play. We gotta run the play. No, we gotta score now. Come on, Billy. Let's get a score for Rudy. Yeah, it's last game. All right, Jimmy. This one's yours.
And he handed it off to Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
So victory formation. To hell with Dennis Allen. If we don't score, somebody that's nicknamed Rudy for the New Orleans Saints can't play. Man, we got to run the play. No, man, we got to score. All right, Jamal Williams, this one's for you, man. We're going to hand it off to you. So that's really interesting. It wasn't as bad as it's made out to be because they wanted one of their teammates to play.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, so that's what the whole thing was.
Was he offsides again when he played? Like he was in the movie?
On the kickoff, yes. This player for the Saints, after they kicked off, that wanted to play, and then Stan!
So they were.
And John Favreau was in the crowd as well.
What
that was
yard
weird.
line were the Saints on?
I think they were on the 1.
Yeah,
and they were and it was a few seconds left.
There was a minute 15 to play.
A minute 15.
Yeah, and they could have just gone to victory formation because he said victory formation.
And they were in victory formation.
Yeah, that's what he announced. Yes, in the huddle.
Yeah,
we just heard it.
I'm usually like, it's professional
Need
football,
to hear it again?
right?
I mean,
go, whatever.
Yeah, see, they were in victory formation.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the huddle.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, duh.
I'm usually like, okay, it's the NFL. Everybody's close. It's parity, right? There's rarely any blowouts. When there is one, don't cry. But that's kind of Bush League, right?
Well, they also intercepted the ball and got tackled at the 1 yard line.
Not they.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
This is Tyrann Mathieu's fault.
Mathieu.
Tyrann Mathieu got tackled at the 1.
He could have got in.
He took that ball back 74 yards, got tackled at the 1, and then turned an international incident.
No.
No.
Okay. And that's what Jameis Winston's like. So if Honey Badger scores, are we running up the score? If he
I don't
gets into
think
the end
so.
zone
I
there?
would just say if you're in victory formation where everybody just kind of lets up and then you go
And then you
around
hand
line.
off.
I think
like
that's the
that
right
stuff.
take. I think it's just the victory formation means, hey, we're not gonna run a football at you, so don't come for our knees.
With over a minute left and you gotta, it's fine. You can go score.
I think the fact that Saints fans hate the Falcons so much that Jameis Winston endeared himself to Saints fans even more
I'm
than,
sure he did,
than he already did.
He might have endeared himself to Falcons fans. They hate the Falcons more than anybody. Jameis helped get Arthur Smith fired. Yeah.
Thank goodness he's gone. All right. And they got the number 8 pick again, so I can't wait to see what skill position player they select at number 8 for Desmond Ridder to overthrow in the flat. All right. What'd you learn from this weekend, Josh?
I don't know how I made it to week 18 before I truly learned about Lou Headley, the Saints' tatted up 30-year-old rookie Australian punter.
Ludi is what they Ludi.
That's what they chant
if
for
they
him.
didn't score, he couldn't play.
So he dropped out of high school in Australia and spent 7 years erecting scaffolding, then moved to Bali to co-own a tattoo shop, then moved to a JUCO in San Francisco before going to Miami to punt at age 25, and now he is a 30-year-old rookie with a 5-year-old son named Loki.
So what's the deal with Australians and punters?
Man.
They have great athletes down there. Apparently, can we not just get them to start throwing the ball?
Great
Maybe
question. I don't know.
Turn it into a quarterback academy.
I guess
I love this guy.
Everybody in rugby, in theory, could punt. I mean, and they're always doing the rugby style, like punting, where they're running and punting. So I guess in theory, I don't know. I don't know. In theory, every soccer player could kick. In theory, unless you're a goal. But then, you might have the strongest leg because you're kicking the farthest.
I'll show you guys a picture of this dude when he was in college also, and it'll really leave you tickled. But it's an audio program, so
I'd like to be tickled. Mick, what'd you learn?
I learned that, we all learned that Alan Bowman is coming back to Oklahoma State. It's not on your radars?
Oh, man, I was so excited.
For a 7th year. And I learned that Alan Bowman and Trevor Lawrence were in the same high school recruiting class.
Amazing.
And Lawrence will be in, his 4th year next year in the NFL. And Alan Bowman will still be playing college football.
This was a college student. Speaking of overage collegiate athletes, that was him in San Francisco at his community college. This was before he went to Miami.
That's the Australian guy?
That's the Australian punter.
Looking like the Birdman. Birdman of Australia punting.
But more jacked. Birdman was not a skinny guy.
No, that's more the Birdman tattoos all the way up to the face.
Up to the jawline, out to the hands.
Neck sleeve. Is that just called like a turtleneck?
The turtleneck, the collar, something like that.
Tattoo.
Yeah.
Is that a turtleneck tattoo?
He's got the gloves and everything. This dude rules.
What'd you learn from the weekend, Dylan?
I learned that Montez Sweat is the first NFL player in the history of the NFL to lead 2 teams in sacks in the same season.
Phenomenal.
It's awesome.
With 6.5 in Washington and 6 in Chicago.
I'm telling you, he's like the Willie McGee of football. I believe Willie McGee one year led both the NL and the AL in batting average.
See, there you go.
He got traded, right? Mid the year.
I'm on it.
I'll take your word for it. Before you're on it there, Josh, funniest review for the weekend?
Irony is dead and Aaron Rodgers killed it. Zach Rosenblatt from The Athletic tweeted today, Aaron Rodgers on the Jets learning from this season, quote, anything in this building that we're doing has nothing to do with winning needs to be assessed. Everything that we do has to have a purpose. The bull bleep that has nothing to do with winning has to get out of the building, said Aaron Rodgers before presumably, bursting into flame for the incredible lack of self-awareness. He also said he wouldn't talk about the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, but if you wanted to hear more, you could tune into McAfee this week.
Cool.
And that's not a joke. I'm not making that up. It's what he said. So R.I.P. irony, 0 to 2024, Aaron Rodgers killed it.
It's good marketing. That's what that is. That's
learned it from Travis Kelce.
Chestnut checkers.
Pfizer buddy.
Just a tease right there. Tune in tomorrow. Boy, he's making his friends a lot of money, man.
Sure is.
Lazard was a healthy scratch and is guaranteed $10 million next year.
It's like family to them. Ooh, nope.
Well, if it's like family, he wouldn't be on the team. MVS was like family to him.
He'd be on The Bachelor.
That's right. What was your funniest from the weekend, Mick?
Funniest from the weekend, I caught the only part of the Golden Globes I caught, and it was from Twitter. It was Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig presenting yet again. I would have played it, but it's more just a visual thing. They do a dance. They are hilarious every time they present at the Golden Globes. And I like the Golden Globes more than the Oscars. It's less stuffed shirt, less people taking themselves seriously. And so go check it out. Basically, they just keep getting interrupted by, I think, some song from one of the movies, whatever. And then they start just doing this corny dance, and it's really funny. I laughed. That was the only time I laughed all weekend. The rest, I wept the rest of the 48 hours.
So that was your funniest. What was your saddest from the weekend? The funniest.
Peacock.
The saddest from the weekend was the attempted monologue at the Golden Globes. That was great. Also, the saddest for Taylor Swift there.
Her reaction to that I thought was perfect. Actually,
Who said the joke and what was it?
Joe Coy, whatever his name is.
Was it funny?
No, it wasn't funny.
Was it tired just because we'd heard it?
It was just oh, we've got Taylor Swift here. It means we're gonna have more views of her than we get during your average NFL game.
Yeah.
And she just stared at the camera and took a little drink, and it was funny. I felt like her reaction was the best part.
Yeah, the comedy most of the time is 90% timing. And apparently his monologue was not well delivered at times, and sort of stepped over his words from time to time. You gotta have that thing
Ricky
down.
Gervais should do the monologue for all the shows.
No doubt.
That's all he does is make fun of him.
No doubt.
Great.
The big laugh that Taylor Swift had was from Jim Gaffigan.
Oh,
when Gaffigan said, it's because they were presenting for comedians, like stand-up comedian or whatever. And he was like, it's like the most beautiful people got together and had a party every year. Now you finally allowed talented people in. And Taylor Swift laughed at that, and he introduced. He was saying who got the comedian award, which was Ricky Gervais, who wasn't in attendance to accept his award, which was fantastic. But it was great. That was the laugh where Taylor Swift lost it. And then there was also a video of Selena Gomez talking to Taylor Swift and Miles Teller's wife. And then it was like she said something was going on with some drama. And Taylor Swift was like, what? And looked very concerned. And somebody quote tweeted it and said, Taylor Swift's being told the game's on Peacock. It was phenomenal. I hope that wasn't somebody's funniest. It wasn't mine, but it could have been. Dylan, what was your funniest? God, I hope he says. Well, at the Golden Globes.
No, mine's a little quicker. It's I actually just found it right before the segment. So
good. All right. What's your funniest?
So McVay, there's a camera shot. I didn't see this.
I could pick another one. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to take
No,
it.
no,
But
you're
the Puka Nacua getting his record and McVay going, nice. Now get him out of there.
Yeah. Nice fist pump. Now get him out of there with the thumb. That was pretty good. I'll go with this one. This was funny. This is not anything sports related, but we were at my daughter's basketball game yesterday. And so more practice. She's 4, so it's kind of a basketball practice. She calls it games. Doesn't matter. So we're sitting there, and my brother, sister-in-law, my uncle's there, and it's getting ready to start. And a guy walks by, and he sees my brother in a Chiefs shirt. And he's like, "Oh, what time do the Chiefs play today?" And it's like 3:25. He's like, same time as my Cowboys. All right, man, cool,
dude. Yeah,
cool.
sick.
Yep, awesome. And
Good
he's
talk.
like, "So, you guys like Patrick Mahomes?" Like. We do, man. We're big fans of Patrick Mahomes. My son's there. Like, big fans of Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he's like, you know where he's from, right? I said, I don't know, Texas. Is he from Texas? He is.
Yeah.
He's from Texas. Yeah. He's like,
No way.
He's like, yeah, Dallas Cowboys, big and everything. He's like, you know what his favorite team was growing up, right? It was like, I'm gonna guess it was probably the Cowboys growing up. Yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm really, really good friends with his uncle, and I'm telling you that there's a plan in place already.
Oh,
Yes!
Here we go.
That whatever it takes when his contract's up, and before he even finished that, 0 chance.
You mean
He
in
said,
20, 35?
whenever his
whatever.
contract, he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy. It was his favorite team. His favorite team growing up. I'm like, oh, yeah, 0 chance that happens. And then he walks down like he's walking away or something. So he's like 4 people away from me in front of my uncle. He's like, you want to know who my second favorite team is? I said, no.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. And I don't know what he said because I'm actually trying to watch. My daughter's out there.
Did he know
videoing.
who you were?
Oh, I hope not. I don't know. I hope he listens right now
Yes.
because, don't bug other people that are just trying to watch their kids. And so then he starts
Especially
talking
about the Dallas Cowboys.
bad takes,
Yeah.
at
Especially about the
least.
Dallas
Yes,
Cowboys.
and,
yeah.
and that Mahomes, there's a plan in place already that he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy before he retires.
There's going to be a lot of if just being their favorite team and being from Texas are the qualifications. Dallas has got to expand the roster
That's right.
here very soon.
And then,
Dylan, will you mark
500.
this? Will you mark this for 15 years from now? We'll just save it in one of those like real deep folders we got.
That's right. And so then my uncle is engaging because my uncle's being a total smartass with him. And the guy's like, well, I coached college football for a long time. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah, that's awesome. And then so he talks about it. My uncle goes, well, I was a dancer for a long time. He's like, no kidding. He's like, yeah, at a strip club. The guy was like, oh, okay, come on. And my uncle goes, well, if anybody can just say something and act like it's true, then I guess I can say that I was a dancer at a strip club then, right? Sort of ended the conversation at that point.
There's a plan in place.
Thanks, Dwight. Appreciate it,
know
Uncle
his uncle.
Dwight. Thanks, Uncle Dwight. Appreciate it. You want to know who my second favorite team is? No, I don't. I want to watch my...
You know he's got a house down there in Texas, too.
You know where he's from? No. Did he go to White House?
His dad played for the Mets. There's a plan in place before his career is over.
It's his
Tebow
favorite team.
track.
That's
You
right.
should have been like, the Chiefs have a plan in place. It's a 12-year contract worth $500 million. So that's their plan. That's
to
the plan that's
continue
actually in
to
place.
extend
Yes.
that.
I just realized the 49ers need to fire their brass after missing out on Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers the last couple of years.
Yep.
The plan for Aaron Rodgers was always to end in San Francisco and Tom Brady to go to the 49ers, even though, as we found out, that Tom Brady, after not getting drafted by the 49ers, essentially said, bleep them, and he'll never play for the 49ers.
Brady actually grew up a Buccaneers fan.
When I was 6, I think I thought all the sports players for all the teams, that was their favorite team growing up, and that's who you played
got
for.
to
You just
choose.
went and, you got to pick.
Makes more sense in the draft, I think.
A lot of people don't realize Brady grew up a Brazilian model fan.
That's probably true.
We all did.
Yes. What was your funniest from the weekend, Josh?
The Aaron Rodgers thing. My best is also funny. Is that where we are in the rotation?
Funniest.
My funniest was
Nice.
Aaron Rodgers
Oh, yeah,
killing,
no.
killing
You were funniest.
irony.
Best
So
to
we
me.
start best
There we
with
go.
Mick.
I don't know names or anything. I
That's
just
great.
saw the video over and over again. But the Giants pass rusher on the Eagles punt that actually ran into the punter, and he bear hugged the Eagles punter, and the Eagles punter was trying to flop and trying to get thrown because he did get hit, but he just holds him up. It's like a child like trying to escape from the arms of a parent like throwing a fit. He kept throwing his arm back, and obviously the pass rusher, whoever it was for the Giants, he was so much bigger. He just held on to him. Finally, the Eagles guy was like, "Okay, we're good," and there was no flag thrown. It was just hilarious.
I have not seen that. I need to check out
so
that
good.
video.
Very funny.
What was the best for you, Dylan?
The best for me, I found a picture. It was Friday. I don't know who tweeted it out, but it was a picture of Shannon Sharp holding young Christian McCaffrey at either the Pro Bowl or like a team like luncheon or something. And McCaffrey's like 5 years old, and Uncle Shay Shay is like his Broncos years, 96 or 7. This picture was taken. It's pretty awesome. It's just two Hall of Famers
Thought
hanging
maybe it
out.
was Shannon Sharp holding a young Cat Williams
No,
in his hands.
It's very cool. It's a very young Christian McCaffrey, though, so he's like 5 or 6 inches shorter than he is now.
I got that.
Thanks.
Yeah,
It's just scat back.
So a few inches taller than Cat Williams.
That's also true, yes.
All right, my best from the weekend is, did you see the play with Missouri, Kansas City, the Roos taking on Portland State with Alan McCabe?
I feel like I'm one of the only people who would have seen that play, but I can't remember.
Christian McCaffrey's 5'11". All right.
Yeah, take that. He's taller than you.
Yeah,
he
sure
he can
is.
eat peanuts off your head.
What?
That's how tall he is.
You put
but
those on your head?
Yes.
Sometimes. Do you want one?
McCabe, big man for Kansas City, takes a shot, misses it. Yeah, Alan McCabe misses it, bounces off the rim. He gets it. A guy falls into his knee, or into his leg. He goes down to one knee, and he looks over to the official. No foul called. So he just throws it up and hits it off the backboard.
That rules.
And banks it in from just
the
outside
ground.
the block, one knee on the ground, like no whistle.
I'll have to
Okay.
find that thing.
And he just shoots it. It's pretty phenomenal. And they were playing Portland State. Speaking also of Portland, Portland was playing Pacific, and Portland home game on Saturday, they had free haircuts for kids at the game. So under the basket, there were two barbers set up
During the game?
during the game. Kids, they got the cape on. They're facing the game. There's
That's
basketball
awesome.
being played, and guys are just clipping. And a couple kids, kids lined up that they're getting free haircuts while the game is playing with Portland and Pacific. I
fun.
thought that was pretty cool. You get
Great
kids to the
idea.
game.
That's a fun, very weird promotion.
Yeah, get kids to the game, get some haircuts while they're there. Parents, let's go see a basketball game and you get a haircut while you're there. Awesome. So that was cool. Just the pictures and the video of like out of bounds plays and guys looking to throw it in, and there's a kid just getting his haircut 5 feet behind.
Got the mop boy when they're at the free throw line getting a sweat, but also a lot of hair in there as well. Yeah,
They're taking the mop
Some
into that little
clippings.
vacuum thing that they sweep it right into. What was the best for you, Josh?
It also is a part of the Jameis Winston Saints Falcons fiasco scandal. Even just a few seconds of Jameis talking about it from his perspective. Every time Jameis talks, it's gold. This is the best for me.
I think it should be forgotten, especially when the score is already 41-17. So I don't know how much worse it can get.
Jameis's justification there is, we were already beating you so bad. Why on earth would
Yes.
you care about 7 more points?
What's the difference between 24 and 31?
I think you were right on, Mick, when you said like victory formation. Again, at that point, you're both waving the white flag. You're saying this is the end of the game. No diving at knees here. But Jamal Williams led the league in touchdowns last year. Did not have a rushing touchdown this year. So that was the idea. I get it. I just love the justification. All the Jameis locker room content's been amazing.
I'm actually pro sportsmanship. This guy doesn't like it. He hates handshake lines and everything. He doesn't like
it's true.
people being friends with each other on other teams, all that stuff. But I'm pro sportsmanship. But I also like in the NFL, don't tell another team when they should stop playing.
Yeah,
I mean,
just, if they would have lined up and run a play, I would have had zero issues.
No, me too. But yeah, when you do that, that is kind of bush.
Yeah, I just I worry that if we take away the handshake line, the fabric of the entire country would cease to exist, kind of like in baseball. Oh wait, they don't do handshake lines in baseball. So how do we
fight all the time?
How do we teach kids
Only
about
sport that
sportsmanship if we
fights
don't
all the
see the Major League Baseball players? In fact, they shake hands with themselves.
Real quickie from Ian Rappaport. Gabe Davis suffered a PCL sprain that is not considered major. His status is TBD, but he has not been ruled out of anything just yet.
Okay, so PCL, TBD for WC in the NFL.
For WRGD.
For BUF.
From BUF. That's
okay. Taken on PIT.
CORRECT.
That also has an MCL.
10-4.
With TJ.
God.
Come on, Mick. You're the letter guy.
Those are numbers.
Wish I could figure out what's on PEACOCK.com.
He's from KSHB. And this was the WORST, the worst. All right, wrapping things up here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, hanging out with us. National championship tonight. I'm going with Washington to win. Going crazy here.
No, I've got it's at 5 now.
5. Yep, Michigan favored by 5.
I wasn't a believer in Michigan. They did that to Georgia.
Yeah.
And so now I am. I kind of attributed them to the rest of the Big Ten, which I felt was overrated. Although, I mean, I was impressed by Washington and what they did to Texas. So,
Josh?
Sorry, the Royals released another statement. I was reading that.
Is it 12
It's
paragraphs
about their
long?
commitment to a strong CBA, in this case, not collective bargaining agreement, maybe community benefits. It's all there. It's fine. I bet on Washington, but I think Michigan wins. I don't know. There's ads and odds and stuff. It doesn't really matter.
Dylan?
I want Washington to win, so Michigan will win.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Very good. Also, we didn't wait on this. We'll get in this a little bit more. Hot take. I thought it was the right call on the flagrant in Allen Fieldhouse.
Ow, too hot.
It was. If you watch a lot of college basketball, you see that called all the time. They don't legislate intent. They're like, if it's above the shoulders and it's that kind of contact, they call it.
I thought that was the right call. I thought Hunter Dickinson then pushed off, and I thought Hunter Dickinson traveled. I think
there's other calls in that game. Yes.
Yeah, there were other calls, but I thought the flagrant was the right call. It was unfortunate timing, but he also pushed off and then traveled, so those should have been called as well. Mick, enjoy your travels this week. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Can't wait.
How do we watch the Chiefs game?
Who knows?